It is 5 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Be looking for windy conditions on this Good Friday. We may see a pop-up thunderstorm, and we may also break the record high. 86 degrees was the record set back in 2012, and we're thinking we may get up to about 87 or so today. Well, growing economic fallout from the war in Iran, oil prices rising more than 11% yesterday. That's the biggest one-day spike since the pandemic.
President Trump posting overnight the U.S. hasn't even started destroying what's left in Iran. Bridges next, then electric power plants. Iran's foreign minister earlier posting striking civilian structures, including unfinished bridges, will not compel Iranians to surrender.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, a deadly encounter on a DeKalb County roadway last December has been ruled self-defense. That's according to prosecutors. District Attorney General Bryant Dunaway announced no charges will be filed in the shooting death of 41-year-old Ashley McKenzie. She was a sociology professor at MTSU. Investigators said the final piece of the investigation came with the medical examiner's report. According to investigators, the autopsy showed McKenzie had toxic levels of methamphetamine in her system at the time of her death. Authorities said just before sunrise in December, McKenzie stepped onto Smithville Highway and approached a driver who was headed to work. Dunaway said that the driver reported that McKenzie walked in front of his truck, raised a handgun, and pointed it at him. Prosecutors determined that the shooting of McKenzie was justified and have now closed that case. The market numbers report this morning brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They're online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Investors on Thursday gave a lukewarm response to President Trump's address on the Gulf War, unwinding the two-day Hormuz Hope rally. The Dow gave up 61 points to close at 46,505. The S&P and NASDAQ each saw minor gains. Oil, on the other hand, surged. West Texas Intermediate crude settled higher by more than 11% at $111.54 per barrel, the highest since June of 2022. With higher gas prices right behind, Amazon is adding a 3.5% surcharge, not on buyers but on independent sellers. The merchants say, though, that if the fee goes higher or lasts longer, they will be forced to pass it on to consumers. So you avoid that uncomfortable would you like to leave a tip moment at Starbucks by using the mobile app instead of the drive-thru or walk-up counter? No more. The chain will now let customers tip in the app as well. It's part of Starbucks' effort to boost pay for baristas.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the stock numbers before the opening bell. The Dow's down 102, the S&P down 18, the NASDAQ, it's down 75. That's the latest news. We've got traffic, we've got weather. They're both coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. On this Good Friday morning, when I was coming in about 4 o'clock, I was surprised how many vehicles are indeed on the road. Perhaps people are headed to visit Grandma or what have you for the Easter weekend. And we also have some crashes already this morning. 440 eastbound just before exit 7. That's actually where it joins into I-24. We've got a crash there. And I passed this wreck coming in. The left two lanes are blocked. 24 eastbound. That's headed toward Murfreesboro just before the Blue Hole Road overpass. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.507 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well, and welcome on in to a Friday. It's a good Friday, April 3rd. Appreciate you being with us. As far as your weather for today, real quick, highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some clouds, storms possible on Saturday, a high of 80. Sunday, cooler, rain, and a high of 63. And again, appreciate you being here, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, the president said that he was going to take out some bridges in Iran, and that is exactly what he did. He made his intentions clear last night. The war in Iran, of course, so we all know what's going on. I've been keeping you updated daily. And so the president wants to be out within the next couple of weeks. He's looking for a deal. He literally has said that he is going to leave the Strait of Hormuz to the NATO countries, the European countries, and he said, listen, you folks, you don't want to help us, then you deal with the Strait of Hormuz on your own. Now, whether or not that's the right way to go about this remains to be seen, but listen to this. I don't know if you've seen this, but the president last night, he absolutely obliterated a bridge in Iran. It's called the B1 bridge. And it's Iran's biggest bridge, and it was it's the bridge that connects Tehran to the western city of Karaj. And so, you know, one of the things when I saw that, again, the president, he's doing what he's saying he's going to do. He came out and he said, hey, Iran, if you don't come back with a deal, if you don't negotiate in good faith, then we're going to start taking out bridges. And guess what the president did? He took out Iran's biggest bridge. He also, of course, threatening to blow Iran back to the Stone Age. So this is a pretty big deal. The B1 bridge, it does connect Tehran to the western city of Karaj. And so one of the things when I saw this, I thought, okay, it makes sense. You know, the president said he's going to start taking out some bridges. He's going to start taking out some bridges. But one of the things about this bridge is this is a bridge that civilians use. Now, yes, they also use it for the military, but this is also a bridge that the people of Iran use. Now, I don't think I'm going to say that it is a civilian target per se, but it is a bridge. It is a target that civilians use. They use this bridge to maneuver around Tehran and maneuver around the country as well. So one of the things that I would ask is, okay, well, do we run the risk of losing the support of the Iranian people? Because you know that there's a lot of folks in Iran, they do support what the president is doing. But the war in Iran does continue. We'll continue to cover it for you. You heard Jay Harper reporting that oil. Jay, if you're listening, where was oil? I mean, it was way up yesterday.
Yeah, it went up 11% yesterday. It's the biggest surge since the pandemic in terms of oil prices. But I believe the one of the types of crude is like at $1.15 a barrel. So it's up there.
All right. You know, the biggest thing that we can say is that, and this is what the president has been saying, this is what everyone has been saying, and that is that at some point when this whole thing is over, oil will go down. It'll go down big time. The price of gas will go down big time as well. And so we'll continue to monitor things in Iran. Apparently, the Iranian regime, they say, is furious about President Trump blowing up their largest bridge. Israel destroyed their financial center headquarters as well yesterday. And so now, apparently, what they're saying, what people are reporting, is that they're panicked and bluffing that America hasn't even damaged the regime's entire war machine as of yet. And one of the things that President Trump has been saying is you got to make a deal or else. Now, one of the things that President Trump has done, and I don't know where any of these bridges are, but he's now listed a whole bunch of other targets as well that I believe more than likely ripe for bombing. And that is what the president has been saying that he is going to do, and he has done. The president posting this, it's actually quite an amazing sight. President Trump posting this. The biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. He says much more to follow. It is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late, and there is nothing left of what still could become a great country. President Donald J. Trump, and part of what he did was he posted video of the burning bridge as it crumbled down. So, that is war in, 2026, where the president is posting video of these bridges that he is ordering bombed. And it's going to take a long time. I spoke to a military expert last night. And one of the things that he said is it's going to take a long time. This is why when we talk about Iran and we talk about the cost of gasoline, we are inflicting so much damage on Iran that it is going to take a long time for them to recover. So I don't know how quick Iran is going to be able to recover from all of the damage that we're doing. And like we've explained many times, Iran, with all of the oil that they put into the global oil market, when their oil is impacted, then that means that our oil is impacted as well. So the question ultimately will become, how long will it take for the cost of our gas to go down after the war is over? And from what I've been reading and from what I've been, as I interview people across the country on radio shows across the country, filling in and so forth, they'll tell me, your guess is as good as mine. It all just depends, but it's not going to be as quickly as we had hoped. And that, of course, will impact the midterm elections. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. There is a lot that I want to cover today. One of the things that I want to talk about is something that happened in the state legislature earlier this week. There's this whole move to, if you are found guilty of raping a child, here in the state of Tennessee now, there is a move afoot, and we've all talked about this, of putting those people to death. Now, there's a lot that has to happen between now and the first child rapist to be put to death, including challenges to the Supreme Court. But we are going to talk about that, as well as Gavin Newsom's wife. Now, I didn't realize, and I don't know why I didn't realize how really silly this woman is, but wait till you hear the audio that I have of Gavin Newsom's wife and how they are raising their children.
Do you have the video too?
I do have the video.
Because it's not just what she says, it's how she says it that's kind of creepy and terrifying.
Okay. Well, I've got the video where she's wearing like a red dress, holding a microphone. Is that the video we're talking about?
No, there's another one. I'll find it for you.
Find it for me, and because what I have is her just, it's the usual. How do I even say this? Gavin Newsom's wife is basically rearing her children, raising her boys, her two young boys, like they were born with toxic masculinity. That's what she's saying, is that her kids were born with toxic masculinity, and what she is trying to do to her two sons is basically browbeat them into not having any of this dreaded toxic masculinity. It is so ridiculous. And suddenly it's like a match made in heaven or hell. You know, she and Gavin Newsom. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. 5:15, time to check the roads on WTN.
Well, as we are just getting our morning commute started, we do have some traffic issues in the metro area. The left 2 lanes remain blocked. 24 eastbound just before the Blue Hole Road overpass. There are wreckers on the scene, so that should be cleared up shortly. Also, 440 eastbound just before you get to the I-24 merge. We have a crash reported there. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. 5:16. By the way, for folks that are wondering, Jay is working this morning. Joan is going to be working in the afternoon with Murphy Show.
That's right. I did afternoons most of the week, and she and I swapped today so that I can cover some baseball this afternoon.
All right, very good. So thank you for showing up this morning, Jay. It's always appreciated.
Yeah, I was here 10 hours ago. So
I know.
You know how it is.
I certainly do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. So if you want to get your daily dose of Joan, listen to Murphy Show this afternoon at 3 here on Super Talk 99.7. What time does her shift actually start, though? It actually starts...
It was the 11 a.m. cast.
Yeah.
11 a.m.? Okay.
Yeah, right.
So she gets to work with Chris Hand. She gets to work with Chad Benson. And then she gets to work with Murphy Show. So it's a great afternoon for Joan Jones. As far as the weather goes, highs in the mid to upper 80s today. Some clouds, storms possible on Saturday, a high of 80. And Sunday, cooler, rain, and a high of 63. I want to do a Daily Dan poll, and I'm reasonably certain that this is going to be one of those, 100 to 0 polls. Should the rapists of 4-year-olds and under get the death penalty? Because that's what we are doing here in the state of Tennessee. So remember last year, lawmakers passed that legislation allowing prosecutors to seek the death penalty for child rape cases. Now, I'm all for this, but I can also tell you, because I'm an emotional guy. I think if you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know that I'm an incredibly emotional guy. And when you think, well, a guy raping a child under the age of 4, of course you kill them. Why wouldn't you? Well, there's actually some pragmatic reasons why you wouldn't, and we'll get into that. But under the legislation, factors that could lead juries to impose a death sentence include whether the victim was younger than 4, if the crime involved incest or drugs, whether the defendant abused a position of authority or trust, and if the victim was mentally incapacitated, and whether the crime involved payment. In other words, those are, the conditions with which a jury can consider the death penalty. Juries will also be able to consider, and by the way, this has already passed the House and the Senate here in the state of Tennessee. So all we're waiting for now is Governor Lee's signature. Juries will also be able to consider the offender's previous convictions involving sexual contact with children and whether they are already listed on a sexual offender registry. Recording or live streaming the crime, as well as especially heinous conduct or torture, it can also be taken into account by juries. So one of the things, and this is what State House Majority Leader William Lamberth said during a floor debate. By the way, this happened earlier this week. The chilling effect this will have, again, let this message go out far and wide. If you rape a child in the state of Tennessee, then you will die. But will you? Will you die?
I mean, there's a guaranteed way.
Okay. That takes me to my second point, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Your method of choice?
So here's the deal. It takes like 30 frickin' years. I said frickin'. It takes 30 frickin' years. I did say frickin', right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I'm a little tired. Need some Wally's coffee bean coffee. But it takes 30 years to put somebody down in this state of Tennessee. 30 years to put somebody down. So I get that everybody, including me, very emotional, put the dog down. Now, you throw them into, one of our fine maximum security prisons here in the state of Tennessee, and let nature take its course in the prison, because we know what happens to child molesters or child rapists in prison.
Well, you'd have to put a clause in there that would prevent them from being in protective custody. Because if they end up in an isolation in a maximum security prison, nothing will ever happen to them, and they'll just live off the taxpayer till they die.
That's very true. And obviously, they would rather live in isolation in a prison. You know, and I'm no expert on prison, but I do know that, in prison, guys, depending, but they get some accoutrements. You know, they have phones and they have TVs, some of these folks. And I don't know the difference between, like, what happens in a maximum security prison. And I have no idea. But what I am saying is that one way or another, you rape a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old, and your ass deserves to die. Really does. But here's the deal. I talked about the pragmatic reasons why maybe we shouldn't incorporate this into Tennessee law. Maybe Governor Lee should not sign this bill. Couple of things. Again, the average time it takes to actually put someone to death in Tennessee, I grokked it, 30-plus years. It is really, really expensive. I mean, you folks know that it is really expensive with all of the appeals and everything else that happens, that it takes 30 years and it takes a lot of money to put somebody down. Now, a bunch of other states have already done this. This is from Newsweek. The death penalty for child rape is still unconstitutional nationwide. In Kennedy versus Louisiana from 2008, SCOTUS ruled that putting someone down for raping a child violates the Eighth Amendment. That's the one about protecting from cruel and unusual punishment, among other things. So basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a test case, right? So I guess maybe the word would be competing against other states. The states kind of vie for, and we've done this before, we compete or vie with other states to have that test case to go in front of the Supreme Court. So we're competing with states like Florida, Arkansas, and Alabama, among others, to get that test case to the Supreme Court. So that's basically where we are. I mean, again, the emotional reaction for me is, heck yeah, put him down. And I want to see somebody taken down next week, right? But it's not that simple. We've got to find that case. We've got to compete with all of these other states. It's got to go to the Supreme Court, and it's got to pass muster with the Supreme Court. So that's part of what is going on this week. Didn't cover it earlier in the week because we were so busy with war talk and everything else. So of course I did it here on Good Friday. So there's a lot of other stuff to talk about as well. 523 Nashville's Morning News. So how did we word the Daily Dan poll?
Should child rapists of victims 4 and under get the death penalty?
And so far,
97% yes.
Who the hell are you 3%? Who are the 3%ers, Jay? I want to know who the 3%ers are. Come on.
If you're concerned about the cost, I have a quick solution for you.
Well, it doesn't work that way. I get it.
I'm just saying.
I get it.
Well,
See,
Idaho's aiming for the firing squad in their state.
I'm with you on. I would love to go back to the firing squad.
Yeah, or public. Like if you want to get real nostalgic with it, public hangings. Yeah,
you could do that as well. But
some states do have the firing squad. I know South Carolina does.
Well, doesn't Salt Lake City or not Utah? Doesn't Utah still do the firing squad?
Man, possibly.
If only there were a way to find this out, Sam.
Is there like some mechanism by which we could investigate?
I meant specifically for the child rapist death penalty clause.
No, I understand that. But I do think that because, when we talk about the death penalty, there's so many different issues related to it. There's the cost. There is the delays. There is the fact that if in your state they do at the gas chamber, there's the challenges of getting all the chemicals necessary for the gas chamber. For the life of me, I don't know why every state doesn't just go back to firing squad.
Yeah,
that just seems to be the easiest way to go about these things.
5 states: Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Utah. Gentlemen, you're both correct.
There you go. All right, 5:25. And speaking of gentlemen, Jay's here. He's got the news at 5:30. Jay.
Yes, sir, Dan. The search, of course, is on for a permanent replacement for Pam Bondi, and one Tennessee congressman has a candidate in mind. We'll let you know about that. And also, as you can well imagine, continued economic fallout from the war in Iran. We'll have the latest numbers. That's all coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 5:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a traffic report, and a weather forecast for your Easter weekend coming up. And today, though, we may even set a new high record of, well, they're saying about 87 degrees. 86 is the record. That went back to 2012. Anyway, we'll get you that here soon. Months before Pam Bondi was ousted as America's top prosecutor, President Trump publicly criticized her for not doing enough to go after his political opponents. Bondi also faced pressure from Congress over the DOJ's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. ABC's Olivia Rubin is in D.C.
Bondi is still scheduled to be deposed by a House committee looking into the Epstein investigation. And as for her replacement, the man currently in charge of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, believed to be a leading candidate.
Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, he would support Zeldin as Attorney General. He said as much Thursday on WTN's Matt Murphy show.
He's out of New York. He's an attorney. He's super smart. And he's a calibrated thinker. He's not just a on the surface kind of guy. He can think the long game, and I think he would be good at that.
Todd Blanche is currently serving as the AG in the interim. Mounting concerns about the economic fallout from the war with Iran. United Airlines increasing its checked bag fees by $10 for tickets purchased beginning today. Amazon also adding a new fuel surcharge. We all know how they're not making enough money. Trump administration officials saying the rising price of oil is a temporary disruption to the global economy as analysts sound the alarm about what they call an affordability crisis. U.S. Trade Rep Jameson Greer speaking to reporters outside the White House on Thursday.
When we look at the American economy, we have a lot of energy resources right here in North America. We have a lot of energy independence, which is it puts us in a very different spot than we would have been 20 years ago. We, of course, look at the energy prices globally. We have a lot of partners around the world. We're watching them. We're staying in contact with them to see what's happening.
That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. We still have this crash 24 eastbound before the Blue Hole Road overpass. It's blocking the left two lanes. There are wreckers there on the scene, but traffic is backed up all the way to Haywood Lane looking at the traffic cameras. Aside from that, things are looking pretty good. Schools are closed, of course, because of the Good Friday holiday. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.538 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Couple of really brief Iran notes, and I'll do more of a deep dive in the 6 o'clock hour. CNN, though, is reporting that, and I don't know if this is true or not. We'll look at the details here in the 6. CNN is reporting that U.S. intelligence still maintains that Iran has significant missile launching capability, and a French oil tanker has gone through the Strait of Hormuz. That is from Bloomberg from a couple of hours ago. That would be a very big deal because, you know, that tells you that Iran is willing to let ships flagged from certain countries through the Strait of Hormuz. So we'll talk about all of that and a whole lot more coming up in the 6 o'clock hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, real quick, I want to go through this, because it is so ridiculous that it's just, it needs to be discussed. The wife of Gavin Newsom, I want to play this. So clearly she's making the rounds. I don't know, Sam, has she written a book? Is that why suddenly we're getting to know you, Jennifer Newsom? Because this woman's a crackpot. Like, I'm going to play some audio. This is actually some video, Sam.
Oh, my gosh, she has.
Okay.
You want to know what it's called?
What is the name of the book?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. She didn't. No. Wow, they both have. Okay, so both of the Newsoms have released books. Her book, Redefining Girly, offers advice to parents on combating gender stereotypes and the sexualization of girls. And then Gavin has released a memoir titled Young Man in a Hurry, a memoir of discovery.
I wonder if his next one will be, Why Did I Marry This Bat Crap Crazy Woman? That'll be like his second book or whatever.
I'll just tell you, watch her hands.
Okay, so I'm going to play, so she's making the rounds, and so Sam has given me a video. It's 48 seconds long. I'll play his after I play mine. So she's talking about how she raises her kids, and now they've got she got 4 kids total, 2 girls and 2 boys. And apparently, part of what she says is that she gives her sons dolls, and when she reads books to her girls and her boys, she will change the protagonist from a he to a she. I'm going to play this for you, and then we'll discuss here in a little bit. Listen to this. This is the wife of Gavin Newsom.
Given our boys dolls, even if they tear the head off, I've given them dolls to learn that care and caregiving is not just an activity that's reserved for women, but that it's also an activity that is a responsibility of men. What I've done with both my daughters and my sons is, if I'm reading a book and the protagonist is a male, I just change the he to a she. And it just normalizes for my sons in particular. I don't even just do it for my girls. I do it for my sons because
Oh, no, you can't do it for the girls. You've got to just mentally and psychologically beat that toxic masculinity out of that 12-year-old.
Want them to see that women can be the center of a story, that women matter, that women are interesting.
I would note to Jennifer Siebel Newsom, your 12-year-old, he's going to find women really interesting in about a year.
If that.
Give it a year, give it 2, man. But a couple of things. So now correct me if I'm wrong, all right? Because I don't buy the kid books in the house anymore. But if she wants a female protagonist in a book, Why would she not just buy a book with a female protagonist?
I suppose, aren't there stories of female
like
triumphs and successes?
Yes, there's like millions. So why would you go out and just work with me here and just follow along? Why would you purposely go out and buy a book with a male protagonist only to, as you're reading it to your boys, change it to a female? What kind of dipstick parenting is that? That is insanity. And I'm not sure why she would feel the need to have to force the issue on her boys. I mean, she's got a couple of boys. The names of her boys, Hunter and Dutch. Hunter is now 13. Dutch is 8. So can you imagine being a boy?
I couldn't imagine being named Dutch. I'm sorry.
You know what? Knowing the parents, I think his name is the least of his problems.
Fair enough.
So, but why is she trying to beat the masculinity out of these kids? See, I think that she's got a mental issue. I do. Like, what is the name of her book again? Because it's some
Redefining Girly.
And it's all about stereotypes and all that kind of stuff. It all sounds like, do you know what it sounds like? It sounds like she has spent the majority of her life in college classes, right? In sociology classes, and psychology courses, and gender equities programs, and all that kind of BS.
Don't forget how some of that is somehow mysteriously tied into environmental themes.
Oh, yeah, of course. So I do find it strange that, she does all of this to make sure that her sons know that women can be the center of a story, that women can be interesting, and that women matter. And so I think that this type of parenting, it seems, I don't know, just frankly bizarre. You know how normal families teach that, by the way? Let me ask you a question. How do normal families teach to their kids that women can be interesting, that women can be the center of a story, and that women matter? By the husband showing a good example by treating the mother, his wife, with the love and the respect and the honor that she deserves. That's how you teach your kids what an appropriate role in a relationship is.
Absolutely, 100%. Oh, and you can promote, true stories of female successes. You don't have to alter something and change it and pervert it in some way to make it fit your narrative. There are real stories of real women who have gone on to do amazing things.
Yeah.
That can set that example for them. You don't need to lie. That's what you're doing.
That's a great point, Sam. Why are you lying when there's so many real world examples out there of women doing incredible things? So I think that these boys, I'm thinking like if I grew up in this kind of an environment where the woman, the mother who is supposed to be, nourishing me with love and all that kind of parental stuff is essentially telling me that I am not good enough because I'm a boy and I might be showing boy characteristics. No. You're not going to, I don't care, Hunter and Dutch. I don't care that you want to play with the G.I. Joe. You're going to have a Barbie and you're going to like it. And if you don't, then you know what? You've got toxic masculinity and you're grounded. You know what I mean?
If you think that, the clip I sent you, I don't know if you previewed it. Oh, man. It gets, okay. It's one thing to obfuscate and lie about stories. Even I can understand that. We all got the whitewashed version of Cinderella when we were kids. Turns out it was a little bit more crazy than it, we were told.
Okay.
With her sister cutting off her toes to, fit in the slipper. That's the real Cinderella story.
Anyway.
It's one thing to say that when it comes to fiction. It's a completely different thing to say when it comes to sports. And she's getting on to her boys about the athletes that they follow.
All right, so let me get through this, then we'll get to that. This is where she starts talking about deconstructing gender roles. And again, if you're wondering who we're talking about, this is so perfect. It's the wife of Gavin Newsom.
At the end of the day, we're all kind of like in this place in history maybe where we're recognizing what it is to ultimately deconstruct all these gender roles and ultimately be human. And that's exciting to me. So I'll just continue to kind of do my work and try and deconstruct all of these like limiting narratives about ultimately what it means to be human. I've given.
What does that mean? Like, it's such a bunch of psychobabble bull crap. And so when she talks about limiting the narratives about what it means to be human, I mean, listen, maybe I need another cup of coffee, but it does sound like she spent way too much time in college classes, not enough time just being a mom. By the way, earlier, also when she said that she wants to make sure that her boys find women interesting, again, you don't have to try to convince your boys to find women interesting. They will. And then the question is going to be, okay, so if you're Hunter or Dutch, right, the kids of the Newsomes, and you are the boy that's 13 years old, Hunter, if you're Hunter, and you're now 14 or 15 years old, and you're starting to look at women a certain way, or, girls a certain way, whatever, and your mom catches you giving that girl, kind of like the eye, if you know what I mean, is she going to start into a big speech about sexualizing women?
Yes.
Then he's going to turn out to be gay.
Or, well, here's the thing.
That's what's going to happen.
It's that, and this is, I've got a little bit of experience when it just comes to overbearing mothers, and there's a point in my life, it backfires, especially if your son is straight, because then they don't think women's feelings matter because the one woman in their life has steamrolled theirs.
There you go.
And there you go. You've created the very thing that you thought you were out to destroy.
By the way, here's what's also interesting. She started dating Gavin Newsom in 2006. At the time, she was registered as a Republican. They became engaged in 2008, and suddenly this Republican re-registers as no party preference, which basically means you're like an independent or non-affiliated. So she spends all this time talking about empowering her girls and deconstructing her boys, yet she, when she got married, changed her political affiliation so that it would basically match her husband's. So that seems a little hypocritical, whatever. So from the sounds of it, she should have made Gavin Newsom change his affiliation to Republican to make sure that she mattered in the eyes of Gavin Newsom. Right? Right.
Yeah, I'd agree.
All right, Sam is dying for me to play this audio. So
dying to stretch.
Let's see here. I gotta find it.
So she's this Clip Media Research Center. Those people are awesome. They put this together.
Yeah, they are.
And they've kind of coupled it with some memes. She's in kind of a two-pronged fork, is criticizing athletes for toxic masculinity and refers to, I don't know if she says it outright, that Jordan Peterson is an alt-right personality that no one should listen to.
Here's the audio.
My sons will watch their favorite athletes on YouTube.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you'll find this sort of alt-right, extreme, Jordan Peterson type speaking to my sons.
Right.
Don't worry, I deal with the same problem all the time.
You owe me $5.
That is, of course, Jordan Peterson.
It's insane.
Right.
Connected to the sports culture. That's not healthy. Are you kidding? So then our boys are learning hate, bigotry, misogyny, racism.
I always miss.
You know what's so weird? Like I've heard Jordan Peterson speak, and I've never heard any of that.
None.
It's like the people. So this is like when they talk about Joe Rogan and how Joe Rogan was all of the things that they're accusing Jordan Peterson of. And you can have a different opinion. This is the same kind of culture, these people on the left, where if you are supportive of trad wives, which are basically wives that are more traditional, they want to stay home and be with their kids. Well, if you are supportive of that, they'll call you misogynist. They'll call you sexist. It is the most bass-backwards thing. Let's see here. All right, more?
All the fun stuff.
Yeah. So it's very dangerous, and I think we have to take responsibility, and we have to hold those in leadership in tech accountable.
Yeah, everyone I hate is a literal Nazi. Everyone except for me.
All right, so she is, and if you missed the video, if you're not watching on the video screen, then you saw photos of J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and others as well. And basically, what the message is that, okay, so listen, if you don't agree with me, then you are indeed a Nazi, and that's what the message of the left has really been. I think since Donald Trump came into office and came onto the political scene, in reality came onto the political scene in 2015, 2016. And they've been just nonstop talking about how everybody on our side of the aisle, we are nothing but a bunch of Nazis. Meantime, which is obviously wrong. Meantime, when you look at the things that they stand for and the insanity that they stand for and the way that they want to raise their kids, I mean, I'm not going to go this far, but some would say that is like psychological abuse, what she's doing to her sons.
She's
deconstructing their masculinity. For the love of all that is holy. Really?
No, I definitely would say that that's psychological abuse. And then she gaslights the right by ending this clip talking about how she wishes the tech leaders would censor this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know why that is? Because they don't like opinions differing from theirs, Anthony Fauci. And so if they can't defeat your argument, they just want to shut you up. We saw that during cancel culture.
Sounds pretty
matter of fact.
fascist to me.
Yeah, it does. Okay, 554, Super Talk 99.7. Jay's got the news at 6. Jay.
Yes, sir, Dan. President Trump, he says he's going to make sure all DHS employees get paid. And a shooting on West End Avenue overnight. We'll have those stories and more at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
557 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Jay.
Yes, Dan.
Are you a fan of Harry Potter?
No.
See,
No.
you know, it's so funny, Sam, I knew that answer.
Yeah, well, my kids were. It was kind of funny. I come home last night and my wife's watching a Harry Potter movie. I'm like, what's that about? But no, to answer your question, I really don't know anything about him.
I'm not either now that Snape is now black. So,
yeah, I heard of
you know, Snape is one of the best characters in Harry Potter. I'm not going to do a big thing on this.
I think he's probably the most important.
I would say that Alan Rickman was I'm not even going to talk about the plot because nobody cares about the plot per se if they don't know what Harry Potter is all about. Suffice to say this. The character of Snape, portrayed by Alan Rickman in the Harry Potter movies, was incredible. He had like an aura. He had amazing talent. And yes, he was critical to the plot. Well, Alan Rickman is a white guy, was a white guy. He's now dead. And so there's a new, I guess it's a Harry Potter series, and they have now made Snape black.
Yeah. I'm pretty read up on this situation.
So here's the problem, just very quickly, because a lot of people are going to say, shut up, man, just get to the news, whatever. But give me 60 seconds, and you can chime in, Sam. So if Snape is now black, Harry Potter for years in the movies always looked side-eye at Snape because he always was suspicious of Snape because Snape always acted like suspicious. Now, I don't want to give away the plot, but Snape was kind of like a double secret agent, whatever. But now, if Snape is black in the new Harry Potter movies, and Harry Potter, according to lore, is suspicious of Snape, now it's going to be, is it because Snape is black? Right? That's what some people are saying.
In the book, his father, Harry Potter's father, bullied Snape when they were at Hogwarts together.
Which makes them racist.
Which now makes it racial. And then, not to ruin a plot point, but if you haven't learned it by this point, that's on you. Snape is the one that kills Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And so now everyone's going to be looking at the only black wizard who killed the headmaster. And it's going to...
It changes the entire thing.
No one will ever come close to Alan Rickman's portrayal. But in the book, he's described as having silky black hair, sallow skin, and they've given Papa Isitu's doing this role with dreads. That's so.
Yeah.
We're just. They said it was going to be a more accurate book depiction of things. It's not.
No, it's not even whatever.
And it really irritates me because all the other casting is pretty good.
Yeah, young Harry looks exactly like the previous Harry Potter. So anyway, for one, I was kind of looking forward to this. I'm not going to watch it now. Harry Potter fans are really up in arms over this. And so that's, they do these things at their own peril. It is 6 o'clock on WTN.
We are coming up on 1 minute past 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get you your Easter weekend forecast and the latest traffic report. President Trump said on Thursday in a social media post that he plans to sign an order soon to pay all employees at the Department of Homeland Security. Meanwhile, there are still transportation security officers who say they haven't seen all the money, all the back pay that they've been owed. ABC spoke to Jill Dejanovic. She's a TSA agent and a union rep in Vegas.
Ultimately, those passengers still do need to be screened. If we don't show up, then it's not going to stop. The bags will continue to be screened. The passengers will continue to be screened. The lines will just continue to get longer. What would make us stop is that we are just financially unable to do so. We're already getting to that point, actually. Our call-outs have been going up, up, up.
An investigation is underway here in Nashville after one person was shot on West End Avenue last night. Officers were called to West End near Centennial Park at about 11 o'clock, and according to Metro, one person was injured in the shooting and is said to have non-life-threatening injuries. They were taken to an area hospital for treatment. Students at nearby Vanderbilt, they were told to shelter in place. The university's emergency notification system alerted them to that. Metro Police coordinated with Vanderbilt Police, and they don't believe a suspect went on campus. A portion of West End was closed. Police were seen searching through a white sedan. This investigation is continuing. No additional info has been immediately released. We've got your market numbers report here this morning. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They are online at beaconcm.com. With this morning's report, here's Jim Ryan.
Investors on Thursday gave a lukewarm response to President Trump's address on the Gulf War, unwinding the two-day Hormuz Hope rally. The Dow gave up 61 points to close at 46,505. The S&P and NASDAQ each saw minor gains. Oil, on the other hand, surged. West Texas Intermediate crude settled higher by more than 11% at $111.54 per barrel, the highest since June of 2022. With higher gas prices right behind, Amazon is adding a 3.5% surcharge, not on buyers but on independent sellers. The merchants say, though, that if the fee goes higher or lasts longer, they will be forced to pass it on to consumers. So you avoid that uncomfortable would you like to leave a tip moment at Starbucks by using the mobile app instead of the drive-thru or walk-up counter? No more. The chain will now let customers tip in the app as well. It's part of Starbucks' effort to boost pay for baristas.
Now let's take a look at the stock futures before the opening bell. The Dow's down 94, the S&P down 18, and the NASDAQ, it's down 76. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. That accident we had on 24 eastbound near Haywood Lane, it was blocking some lanes there. That has now been cleared out, and looking on traffic cameras, the traffic flowing freely through that area there now. That's the only problem we had previously, and with that, things are looking good now on area roadways. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, and welcome on in to a Friday, April 3rd. It is Good Friday, and in case I forget, have a great Easter weekend. There is a lot going on. let's get to the news, shall we? By the way, watch us on YouTube, Facebook, 997WTN.com, Twitter, Twitch, etc. And you can also watch after the show is done. You can also download the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts after the radio broadcast. And again, thank you for doing so. A lot of people, actually, I was surprised, Sam, a lot of people commenting on our discussion about Snape in the new Harry Potter show now being black. They've decided that Snape, one of the best characters, is going to be black. I want to say this because some people are like, coming at me. Come at me, bro, whatever. But here's the thing. If you wanted to make any other character black, you could have without impacting the plot. Mm-hmm. The problem is, and then I'm going to move on because there's a lot going on and most people don't care about this, but you could have taken almost any other character and made that character black and not impacted the plot. But as we discussed before the news, what you've basically done is you have impacted not only the plot, you've impacted the lore of the books. Because you've now essentially sort of changed the relationship, if you will, between Snape as a young man and Harry Potter's parents. I feel silly now just even talking about this. But, just if you are a fan of Harry Potter and you, because my kids grew up watching Harry Potter. I mean, it was like, if you're a person of a certain age, I know that Jay can relate to this. If you were a person of a certain age, then you remember growing up with the Star Wars movies, for example. And so when, I was a youngin', I grew up with Star Wars. Well, my kids grew up, and maybe your kids grew up with the Harry Potter movies. And so for a lot of younger adults, this may really hit home, as a matter of fact. I thought maybe, and Sam and I were talking off the air, Hagrid, you could have, if you have to do it, you could have made Hagrid black. You could have made, any other character could have been made black. But for whatever reason, and I don't know the reason why, maybe we can figure it out, but why did they choose Snape? Of all the characters who, as you pointed out, and it was a great point, Snape is the one that kills Dumbledore. So now in the new movies or shows, you're going to have the only black character killing the hero. And so now people are going to say, oh, well, that's racist. You know what I mean? The whole thing makes no sense.
Well, the memes have just gone crazy.
Oh, have they?
Oh, people are using AI to, they're saying that it's, because Snape is black, that it's Harry Potter and the chamber is loaded. They're making all kinds of, they've AI'd Glocks into his hands instead of wands. It's out of control.
Now, okay, so this is what I'm getting. This is what I love about the super text line. You know what I'm getting, right?
Memes.
1323. Dan, please shut the F up about this. 2805, who sends me hate every single morning. Holy crap, Dan, I actually agree with you. The reason I don't want Snape being black is because in the books, they tease him as a kid and hang him upside down from a tree.
Yeah. Specifically.
Yep.
I understand part of the logic. Out of all of the actors in the original movie series, nobody comes close to Alan Rickman's performance. Mm-hmm. He fully embodied what it meant to be that character. So I get maybe thinking you have to go a different direction. You have to maybe have somebody who's a polar opposite. I do believe a lot of people are saying Adam Driver, very similar build, similar features. We know Adam Driver is not going to come in and do the same Snape. He actually gives you an opportunity to do a younger, broody, emotionally traumatized.
He was really good in the Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm. He could have come in and still given you that, sallow skin, long, silky black hair appearance with a slightly different interpretation.
Okay, moving right along, because I got half the people yelling at me. I got half the people saying, you're right, so on and so forth. However, we all care about Iran. And there is a story. CNN, of course, is leading with this. No big shock. But this is the headline. Roughly half of Iran's missile launching and drone capabilities are still intact. How many bombs have we dropped on? Now, just so you know, I don't know if I believe this. I don't think I do believe this. Jay, do you believe this? Do you believe that roughly half of Iran's missile launching and drone capabilities are still intact? I might give some grace on the drone capabilities.
The drone part, yeah.
But I don't believe the missile capabilities. I don't believe
No.
that half of Iran's missile launching capabilities are still intact.
No, I mean,
there's no way. We've
can-
dropped 13,000 bombs on Iran, and that was earlier in the week.
And that's just us. Israel's dropped 7,500 themselves.
Okay. So what were you going to say, Jay?
No, I can say, you could make the case perhaps that some almost homemade, for lack of a better term, drones can be thrown out there, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to have any real big official drone launching pad, but the missile stuff, yeah, I don't believe that.
They could probably just bulk order from Temu.
Remember what's happening. Remember what's going on is you've got propaganda on all sides. The Trump administration, of course, they do have their propaganda, and that's just not an insult to the Trump administration. That is just, they have the things that they're saying. They have their narrative that they're trying to put forward. They also have the things that they're holding back because they don't want Iran to know what their next move is. Okay, so that's number one. But also remember that there is an anti-Trump propaganda machine. It is a massive machine here in this country as well. CNN is the head of the snake. You've got, actually, it's a multi-headed snake, the anti-Trump apparatus here in this country. You've got the New York Times, the Washington Post. You've got CNN, MSNBC as well. But anyway, this is what CNN is leading with. Iran still has significant missile launching and drone capabilities, according to this report, which cited 3, wait for it, anonymous sources familiar with recent U.S. intelligence assessments. Hey, Sam, you think one of these is Joe Kent? I'm just asking a question. One of them might be Joe Kent. The other one might be Tulsi Gabbard. Of course, we know that Tulsi, if you've been following the news, the Pam Bondi got fired yesterday. And word is that Tulsi Gabbard could be next. And so it doesn't surprise me that you have members, if they actually have these anonymous sources. It wouldn't surprise me that they're trying to put some pressure on Donald Trump and try to, do what they can to make it look like the Trump administration is failing, to put more pressure on Donald Trump to stop this campaign.
I think it all, but what it actually does show is his willingness to cut bait and move on. I think that's probably the most important thing that we're getting out of this. We just finished year 1, and we're already parsing through, 40% of the cabinet at this point? I mean, AG's out. You had the deputy director of the FBI, Bongino, out.
Yeah, but he quit. He didn't get fired. He quit.
But
I see what you're saying.
There's probably an ultimatum in some capacity.
It's about time. It's time for this purge to begin. A reset. Refresh and reset. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it sounds like it's going to be a nice weekend. Weather today, highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some clouds. Storms are possible on Saturday, a high of 80. I'm going to be honest with you. My favorite day of the week is going to be Easter Sunday. Cooler, rain, and a high of 63.
I think that chance of rain is going to fade because we're also looking at very low humidity, so it'd be pleasant.
Listen, there's no way in heck God is going to allow rain on Easter Sunday. There's family get-togethers to happen, and kids got to run around looking for those Easter eggs, which is also and you got to go to church, right? So those are the big 3.
Well, there's one person out there praying for their tomatoes. They get splashed on Sunday. There's one person out there in the Middle Tennessee area that needs that rain Sunday.
Who's that?
I'm just saying, there's always one.
Oh, there's always one.
There's always one praying for rain for their tomatoes.
Let's see here. So the Trump administration is vehemently denying that Iran still has half of their missile and drone capabilities. The story continues. Although Trump administration officials have made claims about the degree of destruction that U.S. and Israeli airstrikes have wrought, the report offered more context for the state of Iran's military arsenal. According to the sources, roughly half of Iran's missile launchers and thousands of one-way attack drones do remain intact. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell pushing back on the report in comments to CNN, saying that it was completely wrong. The White House also offered its own take. Anonymous sources desperately want to attack President Trump and demean the incredible work of our United States military in achieving the goals of Operation Epic Fury. White House spokesman Anna Kelly said in a statement to the Huffington Post, "Here are the facts. Iranian ballistic missile and drone attacks are down 90%. Their Navy is wiped out. 2/3 of their production facilities are damaged or destroyed. And the United States and Israel have overwhelming air dominance over Iran." And that is consistent. We have heard that their attacks against Israel and some of these other Middle Eastern nations, they were plenty in the beginning of this campaign as they were defending themselves. And as time has gone on, these attacks have become fewer and fewer on the side of Iran. So we'll have to wait and see if this, it turns out to be true. I don't believe that it's true. And even people who have not been supportive of this military action in Iran, military people, have not said that the military campaign is ineffective. Like, this is the first time I've heard where somebody has actually said, oh, well, this is an ineffective military campaign. It's not. I don't know about the drones. That's the thing, though. I don't know about the drones, and I don't know about Iran's military. Those are two of the things that really do kind of remain up in the air. This headline as well, Iran and Oman drafting protocol to monitor the Hormuz Strait traffic. Now, that's a big deal because what that is, this is from CNBC. This was yesterday afternoon, where if they are going to monitor the Strait of Hormuz, then that means that they'll, open it back up and we'll have, at the very least, more oil flowing through, which will help overall the gasoline prices here in America. Iran and Oman drafting a protocol to monitor transit through the Strait of Hormuz, says the Iranian state news agency IRNA reported Thursday morning, citing an official. Tanker traffic through the key oil shipping route should be supervised and coordinated. Now, you know that part of this is that they've been wanting to charge money, tolls, if you will, for some of these ships to roll through or to sail through. They say, of course, these requirements will not mean restrictions, but rather to facilitate and ensure safe passage and provide better services to ships that pass through this route. Now, the reason why this is important is because what has Donald Trump been saying all along? Donald Trump has been saying, if you want the bombing to stop, then one of the big things, remember, Iran said supposedly that they wanted a ceasefire. Donald Trump said, Iran is asking for a ceasefire. They came back and said, no, we didn't. Trump said, you want the ceasefire to stop? Then open up the Strait of Hormuz. This is a step towards opening the Strait of Hormuz. So to me, that almost tells you that with Iran reaching out to Oman to open up the Strait of Hormuz with apparently some conditions or whatever, but this is a step clearly in the right direction. 621 on Super Talk 99.7. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Watch us on Facebook. Like and subscribe, by the way, on the YouTube channel. Chris Hand did a thing the other day where they figured out that a lot of the people, this was interesting, Jay, a lot of the people that were watching on YouTube actually had not subscribed to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think was it like 75%? It was a surprisingly large number.
Come on, people, step it up. All you got to do is like literally one click.
It's called lurking, and it's weird. It's the internet term.
Lurking because they don't interact and
they're non-committal.
They're non-committal.
Commit people.
Yeah, but I like the numbers. We all like the numbers, but we would love it if you clicked and subscribed to the YouTube page.
Those are rookie numbers. You got to bump those numbers
watch
up.
us every morning long. That's exactly right. Those are rookie numbers. Come on, man. We'll never beat Joe Rogan if you people don't
No matter how many
subscribe.
people mistake you for him.
It's exactly. Yeah, that's why I'm wearing the scally caps now, because everybody kept thinking, man, you look so much like Joe Rogan. It's all the, it's all the beefcake that I
know.
have.
You mean, just so
That's what it
buff,
is.
so buff. I mean, it's easily.
He started wearing the
mistakable.
scallies, by the way.
What?
Yeah, Rogan has some.
Rogan is now wearing the scally caps?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think he's copying your style.
I think that's one of the guys on the 5. Who's the big beefy guy on the 5? What's his name? Tyrus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tyrus is now wearing these things too. Actually, Tyrus has 2 scally caps, the exact ones that I have from Boston Scally. So there you go. Nobody cares. 6:23, and Jay's got the news coming up at 6:30. Jay.
So you took my Boston Scally advice. Oh, okay.
Yes, I did, Jay.
You asked me where I got mine, and
Actually, you know what, Jay?
I'm flattered.
No. Sam is laughing. Actually, that's where because I originally started wearing the scally cap that I had for a year. I had 2.
Right.
And then Jay said, why don't you check out Boston Scally? And I did, and dude, I am.
I know. Good.
I am so addicted. I
know.
Chris yesterday asked me how many I have. I said 9. I actually went home and counted. I've got like 12.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that a great sight? Though,
So embarrassing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey.
Jay, what's coming up?
Well, I tell you, if boots on the ground in the Iranian war become necessary, whose boots should it be? Well, one Tennessee congressman weighs in on that. We'll also have the latest on the Kit Kat caper. That's coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 6:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast and a traffic report are on the way. In President Trump's speech this week on the war in Iran, he made it clear that unless the Iranians agree to a ceasefire deal, the country will see an escalation in U.S. aggression. Many are concerned that U.S. boots on the ground may ultimately be part of that aggression. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett joined WTN's Matt Murphy show on Thursday and said that if boots on the ground become necessary in any way in the Iranian war, our allies need to step up.
I think we need to encourage the folks in the Middle East to join up. If there's going to be any boots on the ground, they need to be their boots on the ground. America has already sacrificed enough money and people. They need to step up. And the people of Iran need to step up, but they don't have a Second Amendment. That's the problem.
Well, they are still missing the 12 tons, yes, tons of Kit Kat bars stolen in transit between Italy and Poland. They still haven't been found. ABC's Jim Ryan says parent company Nestle has launched a web-based Kit Kat tracker where customers can enter the batch number from their own Kit Kat wrappers to see if they were part of the stolen goods.
Seizing on the opportunity, other companies are piggybacking off the candy bar theft. Domino's UK says it's selling a Kit Kat pizza, while the Major League Soccer team in Charlotte, North Carolina says it's offering 413,000 Kit Kat bars at tomorrow's match against Philadelphia. That's exactly how many bars were stolen in the European heist.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. 632 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 12 tons of how many? Hey, Jay, real quick. How many total Kit Kat bars was that?
413,000.
How much is a Kit Kat bar these days?
Man, that's a good question.
Like how many? And what do you do with that many Kit Kat bars? I mean, are they going to sell it on the black market? Is there a black market for Kit Kat bars?
You know, the cost of chocolate has skyrocketed, like everything else. But, yeah, I think there have been problems with cocoa crops and, that have caused the escalation of the price of chocolate. So maybe there is a black market for it. I don't know.
I have a theory.
What's your theory?
They're going to short the Kit Kat stock.
Oh, yeah.
400,000 bars, that's a lot of bars, man. If they're typically going for $1.82 to $2.19 a bar, and then they got to raise the price because now they're missing 400,000 Kit Kat bars. Short the stock, make some money.
Can I be honest? If I was going to steal hundreds of thousands of candy bars, it wouldn't be Kit Kat.
Reese's.
Absolutely. I knew I liked you for a reason. Jay, what would you steal?
Oh, gosh, the peanut M&Ms, man. I'm an addict.
Okay, that's good as well. Not as good as Reese's.
Well, yeah, I mean Reese's are right up there, believe me. But yeah, I paid $14 for that big 2-pound bag of M&Ms, and I've got them stashed in the house. My wife, she doesn't listen this time of morning. She doesn't know I have them. So I mean, it's kind of like my little secret. Yeah.
Does your wife? Your wife knows that doesn't know that you have all this candy stashed, Jay?
No, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's my own little secret.
Do you know what I used to do in a previous life? I had beef jerky stashed at work. This was in Denver because my previous wife, my doctor, told me to stop eating beef jerky. So what do I do? I, of course, start sneaking beef jerky.
Yeah, you hoard the stuff.
I would hoard the stuff at work because I wasn't allowed to have it at home. And then, of course, I'd come home smelling of beef jerky and whatever. I don't do that anymore. You know why? Because I'm on Contours. It is 6:34. And I want to tell you about my friends at Contours. Summer is months away, but the work to get that beach bod back begins right now. My friends at Contours, they can help you get it back with FDA-cleared red light technology. Contours is going to help you target those areas that you hate. Whether it's your belly, your arms, or your legs, whatever the problem area is that you have, that you're sensitive about, you can solve that problem. No pain, no surgery, no downtime, just results with Contours. Now, I've told you many times now, I usually fall asleep during my treatments. Now, real men and women from Franklin and across Middle Tennessee have been checking out Contours have been seeing real results as well. Now, Matt Murphy is going right now to Contours. I go as well at least once a week. I'm doing the facials. Matt is still, I believe, doing the body contouring. Your beach trip isn't that far away. Let Contours help you get rid of those trouble spots. And right now, the first 10 callers get a special introductory price of just $99. And remember, you lose 2 inches that first time in, or it is free. That phone number, 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960. First 10 callers right now get that special introductory price of just $99. 615-236-9960. The website, contoursllc.com. Contours, where all you've got to lose is inches. Dan Mandis here for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is the perfect time to freshen up the air in your home. At Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they've put together their Spring Breathe Easy package to help you clear out all of that dust and the allergens and the pet dander that's been building up over the last couple of seasons. Now, they're not just going to do a quick check. They're going to give your system a full refresh. Now, that includes an AC tune-up to help you get ready for the summer heat, plus an indoor air quality check so you know exactly what your family is breathing. We'll also inspect your ductwork and perform a professional air duct cleaning to remove all of that hidden buildup deep inside your home. And to take it a step further, they're going to install a whole home germicidal system to help reduce airborne contaminants as well. And with their premium service at Busy Bee, they're going to finish things off with a bonus deodorizer treatment so your system smells as clean as it feels. Now, right now, you can get the whole package for $1,199 on 1.5 to 3 ton systems. That's normally an $1,800 price tag. Right now, though, it's $1,199. That is a huge savings. Or $1,599 on 3.5 to 5 ton systems. That is normally a $2,099 package. That is now only $1,599. Call them, 615-775-7033, busybeehvac.com.
With this being Good Friday and the schools being closed and a lot of folks off work, there is no problem to report on area roadways. Everything looking good on interstates and all of the other major thoroughfares. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.639 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jay, I knew there was a reason why I wasn't motivated today. Because nobody's on the road. And like our listenership is like 30% of what it usually is because a lot of people aren't working today. But that's okay. I'm just kidding. I am motivated. Somebody made a specific request. Hey, Dan, how about an Artemis update? Okay, how about an Artemis update? There is an incredible video. If you're watching on YouTube, then you can see it, and I'll describe it for you. And if you've been anywhere online, you've seen this video. Now, it is the Orion when it was taking off. Was it Wednesday? Was it Thursday when that took off? Now, it's been a couple of days. But it's from an airplane. It's from a passenger plane and it's from above as the Orion is taking off. It is an incredible, incredible video, and you can see, I don't know what you call the smoke that is ends up behind the ship, but it is an incredible video and really a once in a lifetime opportunity to see that. And I'm glad that that person was able to get that video of the Orion taking off. So that is definitely a viral moment. They are now in the midst, I believe it is, of day 2, heading into day 3. And they've given their first interviews now. They were on Fox News last night. So I'm just going to play some of this audio and comment throughout. One of the things that I noticed was, and this is interesting, the audio is crystal clear. Like it sounds really good. And they are way up in space. This is Reed Wiseman talking about day 1 and what they experienced there on the Artemis 2.
So we all wanted to give a shout out to our families first because we are pretty far from Earth and we have not gotten to say hi to them yet. You could see the entire globe from pole to pole. You could see Africa, Europe, and if you looked really close, you could see the northern lights. It was the most spectacular moment, and it paused all 4 of us in our tracks.
By the way, can I ask this question, Sam or Jay? So now that they are able to see the Earth and its curvature and the whole thing, what does this do to the whole flat earther thing? Is that what Murphy Show was talking about this week with the flat earthers and the conspiracy theorists? Where now that we can actually see, this far out, we can see the Earth's curvature, which I've never paid attention to this thing, the whole flat earther thing, but I grokked it and I chat GPT'd it. And I asked, what does this do to the whole flat earther movement? It completely destroys the flat earther movement because now we can see that the Earth is indeed round.
Well, and they're going to live in their denial. This was proved a few years ago. They did a light experiment. That some flat earthers actually did the experiment where they tried to measure light and say that it would be in a straight line, and it showed up on a curve, and it completely proved them wrong in the very instance. Yeah. And so they're just going to, double down and deny and say that this was AI generated.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. AI generated or Photoshop, it's all a hoax. And the reason that audio is so clear is that's all fake, man.
So it's like what I said the other day on a Hollywood soundstage.
Yeah, they're not in space. Come on.
All right, so I'm not going to argue with flat earthers, but we spoke yesterday about the toilet, the busted toilet that was broken. It was the fan, apparently.
The $11.5 million toilet.
No, it's $23 million.
That was for the pair.
Oh,
remember there were 2 ones on the ISS.
Got it. Well, apparently, you know who they made fix the toilet? Christina Koch. The one female got to get the plunger or whatever it was that she had to do. She was the one that actually fixed the toilet, and this is what she said about that.
I'm proud to call myself the space plumber. I like to say that it is probably the most important piece of equipment on board. So we were all breathing a sigh of relief when it turned out to be just fine. It was just an issue, I think, of sitting for a long time and needing a little time to warm up, a priming issue. But we did originally think that there could have been potentially something fouling up the motor. And luckily, we are all systems go.
Yep, all systems go as far as the toilet goes.
So
That's
their
good.
systems can all be ready to go.
That's exactly right. Christina is the first woman to fly this far out into space. She is, she seems like in watching these interviews, because I told you I really wasn't into this story until I saw how intrigued and excited Riker and Amy were on this. And so I kind of got into it. And Christina, she's actually a very cool, very wicked smart person. And so it's kind of getting to know these folks. Despite the potty problems, the takeoff was a success. The toilet fix was a success. And now they just have to get used to their surroundings. This is astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Seems like he already is. This is audio only, but if you see the video online, he's almost... It's like he's sleeping in a hammock. He's laying in a hammock as he is being interviewed. The 4 of them are, because there's only 4 of them on the ship, and they're really in a really tight, confined space.
Even the space rookie Jeremy Hansen looked at home.
It's just so extraordinary. I just kept saying to them yesterday, like, I really like it up here. I wish I could have got here sooner. It's just such a tremendous place to be. The views are extraordinary. It's really fun to be floating around, and it just makes me feel like a little kid.
And by the way, I don't know if you know this, folks, but a couple of things coming up after the traffic. The first black astronaut to travel around the moon. He was asked about the implications of being the first black astronaut to travel around the moon. I love his answer. So I'm going to play that audio for you. And a major milestone for this mission was actually accomplished just a few hours ago. Details straight ahead. 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it's going to be a nice day today. Highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some clouds. A storm is possible on Saturday and a high of 80. Sunday, cooler, possible rain, and a high of 63. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, I do have video for this, Sam, so if you want to turn the video back on. But we do have Victor Glover, and Victor is the first black astronaut to travel around the moon. He was asked about this, and he did give a really good answer. This is what he had to say. I don't hear it. You got it? What's going on here? Okay, well, this is going to be awkward if I can't get this to play. It's not playing. Hold on. Why is this not playing? Stand by, everybody. Stand by. Let's see here. Let's try it here. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And this is going to be audio only. Hopefully it plays. Okay, why is this not playing, dang nabbit? Are you sure you've got everything up in there, so to speak? Okay, very good. Basically what he says is that he wants to move past all of the conversations of color. Oh, you got it now? All right, hold on.
I've got it from my end.
Oh, you got it from your end? Okay, go ahead and play it.
Big question, and I want to highlight, I guess maybe one facet of this is the tension, I call it. I live in this, this dichotomy between happiness that a young woman can look at Christina and just physicalize her passion or her interest, or even if it's not something she wants to do, she can just be like girl power, and that's awesome. And that young brown boys and girls can look at me and go, hey, he looks like me and he's doing what? And that's great. I love that. But I also hope we are pushing the other direction, that one day we don't have to talk about these first, that one day this is just, and I listen to this, that this is the human history. It's about human history. It's the story of humanity, not black history, not women's history, but that it becomes human history.
I mean, I totally agree. It's almost like every time there's...
They did it to Todd Bowles, Tampa Bay head coach, when he took over for the Buccaneers organization. And he said, asking about being the Bucs' first black head coach, what it's like to be one of the few black head coaches in the league. And he said, I'm right for the job because they picked me and my work ethic, and what I'm good at.
It's just like enough. I just feel like enough already. That's what now people, oh, Mandis, you're just a white guy. Okay, fine. But
you're pretty fly for one, by the way. The
Tampa Bay head coach, thank you. And now this guy, both saying, you know what, enough already, Victor Glover, enough already. I'm the right guy for the job. I'm doing the job well, and the reason I'm doing the job well isn't because of my skin color. It's because of everything that I did up to this point to train and to work hard, and the goals and the mission and all that other kind of stuff. But you know what? The media is going to talk about it. It's going to be something that they're going to perpetually talk about, and it is what it is. But something big happened last night. The translunar injection burn was a success. Now, hopefully this is audio only, is going to play. If not, there's something wrong with the computer. But this is what happened last night. The translunar injection burn, it was a success. Now, what that is, that's a maneuver that basically pushes Orion out of the Earth's orbit and on that trajectory towards the moon. And yeah, this happened last night.
Well, we are still technically in Earth's orbit, although we did just do our translunar injection burn, and so we are definitely 100% on our way to the moon. The lunar gravity will take over in a couple of days here and start pulling us around the far side. At the end of our translunar injection here about an hour and a half ago, we just really looked at each other, and I know the United States has done this 1968 through 1972, but this is unbelievable that we can put our minds to something and pull it off. This is an unbelievable technical accomplishment.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about all of this is that with modern technology, we're now able to get longer form interviews with these folks. Trace Gallagher on Fox News late last night got to interview them in a more of a long form kind of a format. And this is part of what that interview was like as he interviewed Christina Koch.
You, in a few days, will become the first humans to travel the farthest in space, more than anybody else has ever done. It took us a long time to get back here, and now we're about to exceed that. Is that a moment of pride? Is it a moment of history? How do we feel about that?
It's great you brought that up. We were aware that we would pass that milestone if we happened to launch on this date. There were other days where we wouldn't have necessarily. So we are not necessarily a crew that lives on superlatives, but it is a milestone that's important. It's important that people can understand and wrap their heads around what is the latest in what we're doing. What does this mean relative to what we've done in the past? What are we going to be pushing for into the future? We think that the journey that we've been on and all of our teams have been on with us is so much more than just one number.
Yep.
But we also hope that that number just keeps being exceeded and exceeded by the future crews. That's why we're here, to build a legacy for the future.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is, as she said, about the future. They're laying the groundwork. Whole thing's going to last 10 days. They're going to loop around the moon and then come back. Eventually, they are going to go 4,700 miles beyond the moon's far side. It's the farthest any human has ever attempted to go. And we explained all that they want to accomplish yesterday. They want to test our deep space hardware, collect data on radiation exposure. They want to test astronauts' health and performance while out in space. And we're going to be looking at the far side of the moon closer than we ever have. I do find this interesting. From the vantage point of the Orion, it'll look like the size of a basketball held at arm's length. I mean, that's incredible. So we're going to get some amazing pictures. Part of why I love this so much is because, you know, this truly is American exceptionalism at its peak. And that's what I like about this. A number of things that I like about this. That's one of them. We beat China by a couple of years. Elon Musk is all in on this. He is working on building sort of these cities on the moon at some point. So I think that's exciting as well. And I just told you we want to be on the moon by 2028. China's goal is 2030. Because remember, this is nothing but a fact-finding mission really right now. We will actually land on the moon here in about a couple of years. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly is a self-sustaining human habitat, which is what they're going to have on the moon. Housing for astronauts, life support for the astronauts, air, water, food, energy, which is going to be solar power. Hey, Jay, you know how hot it gets on the moon? On the
how hot does it get, Dan?
Really hot. Hey, do you know how cold it gets on the moon?
Let me guess, really cold.
Really cold, thank you. Lunar nights last 14 Earth days and get extremely cold, like minus 280 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how cold it gets on the moon.
That is chilly.
During the daytime, it's like 260 degrees Fahrenheit. So, I mean, you're talking about these massive swings. And so if you, like, I know that people would say, oh, I would love to live on the moon, right? Would you really? Because once the novelty of being on the moon is over, you're dealing with these massive temperature swings. You can't go outside without a bunch of crap on.
Yeah, you've got to be totally encapsulated at all times.
Yeah, I would like nice place to visit. I wouldn't want to live there.
Right.
psychological factors.
Boy, no kidding. That
Long
would-
stays in a small, isolated environment. It's challenging. That's like the talk radio show studio here. It's like our studio, the WTN studio.
Are you volunteering?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I think my family. I think Amy and Riker would be like, "Hey, you want to be the oldest bald guy to go up to the moon? Could you please do that?"
What if they were like $50,000 for 6 months?
No.
I know it's not a great salary.
Well, $50,000 for 6 months. It's $100,000 a year. That's actually pretty good. But not to number one, risk your life, and number two, to be away from all of the accoutrement. What would you love most? What would you miss the most if you were going to go? Jay, I'll start with you, and then Sam. What would you miss the most if you went up to the moon for like 6 months to live? What would you miss the most about Earth?
For me, it would just be going outside in the fresh air and getting the sunshine and, with shorts and a T-shirt and just,
Fresh air.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would actually agree with you. What about you, Sam?
I would miss my wife first and foremost.
Me too.
I would
Shame
also,
on you, Jay, for not saying you'd miss your wife.
Well, who said she wouldn't be with me?
Oh, that's a fair point. But I think I'd get pretty worn out of trying to trap my gravitational poops, trying to slam them in the lid so that, because that'd be horrible,
See, you would bring that up.
You got to think about what is going to not be normal, right? And floating turds are not normal. Well, floating in the air.
Okay, 6:56 on Nashville's Morning News. Jay's got the news coming up at 7. Jay.
Okay, let's follow that. All right. Hey, the search is on for a permanent replacement for Pam Bondi, and one Tennessee congressman has a candidate in mind and a new item under consideration for the official list of drinking water contaminants. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. And I want to tell you about my friends at DT McCall's. It is that time of year. Lawn mowing season at DT McCall's. They are here to make it easy with great prices on the best in mowers. Now, you know that they're one of the top Cub Cadet dealers in the country, right? And every year they have this great sale to save you money. They are in the midst of this sale right now at their Lebanon location. You can save up to $1,000 depending on the kind of lawnmower that you need. They've got ride-on mowers for the larger areas. They've got push-behinds as well. But you've got great deals on a variety of Cub Cadet mowers. 0% financing for 24 months is available for some of these models as well. So if you need a new lawnmower, you owe it to yourself to check out my friends at DT McCall's. The sale is going on right now, again, at their Lebanon location, and it's going to stay at the Lebanon location until April 11th. DT McCall's, again, always looking for ways to save you money right now with their annual Ultimate Cub Cadet Lawnmower Sales event. It is going on right now. Check them out online, dtmccalls.com.
It is 1 minute past 7 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A traffic and weather report are upcoming. Months before Pam Bondi was ousted as America's top prosecutor, President Trump had publicly criticized her for not doing enough to go after his political opponents. Bondi also faced pressure from Congress over the DOJ's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. ABC's Olivia Rubin is in D.C.
Bondi is still scheduled to be deposed by a House committee looking into the Epstein investigation. And as for her replacement, the man currently in charge of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, believed to be a leading candidate.
Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett would support Zeldin as Attorney General. He said as much Thursday on WTN's Matt Murphy show. The EPA is now considering adding microplastics to an official list of drinking water contaminants. That could lead to new regulations for water utilities. Dr. Stephanie Widber is an ABC News contributor.
Definitely not enough research to draw any concrete conclusions. We use plastic every day, and the amount of plastic that we've been using as human beings and just in the environment has really been increasing over time.
Health Secretary RFK Jr. citing a small study that links microplastics in arterial plaque to a 4.5 times higher risk of heart attack, stroke, or death in patients with artery disease. Authorities seized large amounts of illegal drugs, firearms, and cash during a multi-agency operation across Middle Tennessee. Officials announced that late yesterday. According to Metro Nashville Police, the seizures included approximately 161 pounds of crystal meth, 21 pounds of cocaine, 8 pounds of fentanyl, and 4 pounds of weed. Investigators also recovered 10 firearms, including a fully automatic AR-15 style rifle, along with more than $700,000 in cash. The items were confiscated. This happened Wednesday when this all went down. They executed search warrants in Davidson, Rutherford, and Sumner counties. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. On this Good Friday, traffic looking pretty darn good. However, we do have a stalled vehicle. This is the off-ramp to westbound I-40 from Briley Parkway. This is near the airport. The off-ramp, the right lane is blocked. Again, there's a stalled vehicle there. But aside from that, everything looking good and clear. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Todd Blanche, just looking at the headline real quick. Todd Blanche is insisting that the Epstein files did not play a role in the Bondi firing. I think I heard Jay talk about how there are some reports out there that Donald Trump fired Pam Bondi because she didn't go after his political enemies aggressively enough. I'm seeing that reported as well. I don't know the reason why Pam Bondi got fired. I do believe that she shanked the whole Epstein investigation. And I've said this 1,000 times. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it this morning, but she sealed her own fate when she went into the administration, talking big, and she had been talking big about the Epstein files for, years. She was a guest on the talk shows and Hannity and all of these. And it's like, oh, the Epstein files, I know. The Epstein files, I know. And she didn't know. And so she was talking big about how she, was going to, if she was in the Attorney General's office, if it was up to her, then she would know where the Epstein files would be, and she would make sure that, they got released and all of these other. And then she got into office as the Attorney General, and she made mistake after mistake related to the Epstein files. There was, of course, the binders. Remember the whole binder controversy? Where, this was a big, big deal. Here comes all of these influencers, and everybody's got their little binder, and it turned out, and oh, hey, look, we've got the Epstein files. And then it turns out that they were old files, and they were files that the majority of people who are into the nitty-gritty of the Epstein files had already known. It was, nothing but a bunch of old news. Remember in the restaurant, when she was caught talking about the Epstein files. Remember when she had said that the Epstein files, they had all been released, and Epstein, committed suicide. Well, then it turns out that was a falsehood. After she announced that all of the Epstein files had been released, then what happens? They released like millions more. So I would say it this way. If Pam Bondi did not get fired because of the Epstein files, well, she should have been fired. But again, she sealed her own fate because she was talking big even before she went into office, and that is why Donald Trump chose her to be the Attorney General. Now, I don't know why it is that she got fired. Who knows? Whatever. There's some accusations that she was, leaking material and all that. I have no idea. Do you know what I do like, though? Lee Zeldin. I like Lee Zeldin. I agree with Tim Burchett. Lee Zeldin is a good, solid conservative, and he is somebody that Republicans and hardcore conservatives hold in very high esteem. So we'll see ultimately where it goes from here. There is a headline that I want to share with you regarding Iran. By the way, Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Watch us on YouTube, subscribe, and if you would, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, 99.7, WTN.com. You can watch the radio show live, 5 to 9, or you can watch it any time of the day or night. I've got a friend in California. She watches it like at night, the day after. Whatever. Listen, as long as you watch, like and subscribe. Wreckage of downed U.S. fighter posted by Iran matches an F-15 fighter that is based in the U.K. as Tehran's missiles hit a water plant and oil refineries as well. So it would appear anyway, and we don't know if this is real or if this is propaganda, but the Daily Mail is reporting that this wreckage of an apparent American warplane that Iran says was shot down matches an F-15 aircraft based in Britain, it is claiming. So we'll have to see. Aviation experts studying pictures posted of the apparent wreckage say it sports the U.S. Air Force in Europe badge, as well as a red tail flash belonging to the 494th Fighter Squadron based in Suffolk. They say the plane is instead likely to be an F-15E Strike Eagle the same type of plane as the 3 aircraft accidentally shot down by Kuwait's Air Force at the start of the conflict. Let's see here.
What was the name of that town?
Suffolk.
Suffolk?
I don't know how they say it it's like England.
Oh.
Yeah. So if we're talking about Suffolk in Virginia, then it's Suffolk.
Okay.
But if it's in England, I
Probably.
believe they call it Suffolk.
Or suffocating.
I have no idea what that means.
Because of all the Muslims.
Okay. Let's see here. They say, getting back on track, considering the amount of fake and AI-generated imagery Iranian sources have circulated online since the beginning of Operation Epic Fury, it is a legitimate question to ask about the authenticity of these photos. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is real or not, but what I do know is real is the absolute breathtaking video of Donald Trump taking out an Iranian bridge. I don't know if we did talk about this earlier, so just real quickly, I mentioned this in the 5 o'clock hour, but the Trump administration has taken out a massive bridge in Iran. Remember that the president has been, talking big, as he does, and warning Iran that it is time to make a deal before it is too late. That is what the president posted on Thursday. He posted footage of what appeared to be strikes on a bridge in Iran. Well, a few hours ago, yesterday, the president did take out a massive bridge that did connect Iran, or I should say Tehran, with one of their western towns. And this is a bridge, and again, it's the biggest bridge in Iran. And they say that it is the B1 bridge. It connects Tehran to the western city of Karaj. And so, one of the things when I saw that, okay, so this is a bridge that is used militarily, I'm sure, but also, the civilians in Iran use this bridge as well. So I do wonder if I don't know, I'm having a hard time figuring out if this bridge, again, it's called the B1 bridge. It connects Tehran to a city called Karaj, to the west of Tehran, the capital. And some people are calling this a civilian target. Other people are saying this is a military target. I think civilians have been using this bridge, but it is definitely a bridge that is also used for the military. Either way, the president has now posted another message on True Social, and it's talking about all of the other bridges in Iran and how they could very well be taking out those bridges as well. So, busy day as it relates to the war in Iran. The president is most certainly, and Pete Hegseth's definitely pounding the living crap out of Iran and out of Tehran as this war does continue. The folks over at CNN are reporting, just to let you know where we are at, on this Friday morning, Good Friday morning. CNN is out there reporting that Iran still has 50% of their missile and drone capability. Now, I talked about this in the last hour. I don't know if I believe that. The three of us actually spoke about this, Jay, Sam, and I, and we basically said, you know what? Drones maybe, but I don't believe that Iran still has all of those missiles. The White House has come out and said that the Iranians have been attacking Israel and some of these other Middle Eastern nations less and less and less because we've been taking out a lot of those missiles and a lot of their capability to launch said missiles. It is 7:16 on Super Talk 99.7. Time to check the roads on WTN. Very good. As far as your weather goes, it looks like it's going to be a nice day today with highs in the mid to upper 80s, some clouds, storms possible on Saturday and a high around 80. Sunday for your Easter Sunday, cooler, rain, and a high of 63. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do I have time to do this? So California Governor Gavin Newsom, and we're going to have some fun with him here in a little bit as well, with he and some things that his wife have been saying. But California Governor Gavin Newsom in the news today, widely seen as the front runner for Democrats in 2028. This is shocking to me. Roughly 3/4 of Democrats see Gavin Newsom as really their only choice to run in 2028. How is that possible? With all of the failures of Gavin Newsom, with all of the failures that we've seen in California, 3/4 of Democrats see Gavin Newsom as their choice for 2028 across the entire country. I mean, that I don't know. I don't know why I'm shocked, but I am. Because you know what? You would think that performance matters, but clearly not in the Democrat Party. Because if you look at the performance of Gavin Newsom as a governor for the state of California, dude has been an absolute epic failure. Who do you think is the bigger failure? Sam, who's the bigger failure? Gavin Newsom or Tim Walz?
Dude, that's comparing horse poop to cow poop right there. I got to say Gavin Newsom because you've got a more fiscally important state to the nation and the international economy.
Jay, who do you think is the bigger failure, Gavin Newsom or Tim Walz?
Gosh, I would probably go along with what the reasoning Sam has used.
Okay.
But in terms of a bigger putz, I would go with Walz.
Oh, yeah.
But as far as a failure goes, yeah, I would go with Newsom.
That's a really great point, Jay. Who's the bigger putz? That would be Tim Walz.
That would be Tim Walz.
You made a great point about, performance mattering, and I think we kind of start to understand why Jennifer Newsom's all wound up and irritated all the time.
Yeah, we'll
he can't
get
perform
into
anywhere, can he?
We'll get into that, but Newsom. They're talking about the reasons why Gavin Newsom is such a failure. So this was this rather infamous moment. We all covered this. We all remember this, where old Gavin Newsom is speaking to a mostly black audience.
I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. And I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
So even people on the left thought that was an epic disaster. There were some people on the left that thought that this may be the end of his political aspirations. I don't think so. And a lot of Republicans, of course, made hay about that. But, nonetheless, the Democrat Party does see this guy as the future above anyone else, according to all of the polling. Now, President Trump, in commenting on Gavin Newsom, this is what the president has said about the California governor.
Gavin Newsom, I believe he took himself out of the running when he says he suffers from mental disability. And a reporter said it was terrible that I talked that way about somebody with mental disability. I said, I have no problem with it, but I don't want a person with mental disability to be my president. I mean, you don't want to have a person with mental disability being your president. And Gavin Newsom said that he can't read a speech. He can't do almost anything. And then he said he's as dumb as all the people in the room. And he got accused of being a racist, which was an amazing thing. I thought it was the worst interview I've ever seen anybody give. He's actually a very stupid person.
So a couple of things. Number one, Gavin Newsom has said that he is dyslexic, but on the other hand, he has said that he is able to, read books at a 2-hour clip. So Gavin Newsom, he's a perpetual liar. And there's a lot to say about Gavin Newsom. I'm not going to go all personal today, but I think that the guy is slimy as the day is long. Meantime, by the way, over at CNN, S.E. Cupp, she is branded as a moderate Republican, but is often very critical of President Trump. And so there she is, S.E. Cupp, on CNN. She works as a commentator, and this made news yesterday. She said this about Gavin Newsom.
I don't like Gavin Newsom. I think the Democrats are wrong to wrap their arms around Gavin Newsom. I don't think another California coastal liberal is the savior of their party. I think Gavin Newsom's made a ton of mistakes, and I don't think California, as economically important as it is, should be sort of model for how our states should run.
Do you know what I don't understand, though? And I think this is a very valid point. So she's talking about the failures of California. Well, then who do you like? I mean, let's look at the big governors and the big candidates who are considering running for the state, for the presidency in 2028, right? So you've got Tim Walz. Of course, I think his political career is over. But you also have Kamala Harris. She has been a complete abject failure. And I'm trying to think of who else is out there for the Democrats. You know, you've got the
Pritzker.
JB Pritzker. Yeah, they're very good. JB Pritzker. You've got, you know, the Democrat mayors. You've got the Democrat senators. You've got Cory Booker and some of these other folks.
Right.
So, but I think that Newsom really is the prototype Democrat, is he not? He favors open borders. He favors sanctuary cities. His soft on crime policies are legendary. The health care and child care for illegal aliens in California, transgender services for kids under the age of 18 in California, $20 an hour minimum wage in California for fast food workers. And, of course, there is the fraud in California. Now, that has been well documented.
CBS News is first to report the arrest today of a married couple in Southern California accused of ripping off Medicare for nearly $7.5 million through a series of fraudulent hospice claims. Over 700 hospices in Los Angeles County alone have red flags for fraud, according to our investigative team. In this particular case, the flags included a 5-year survival rate of 97%, high for what is supposed to be end-of-life care. The FBI says additional arrests are expected.
All right, so if not Newsom, who? Mamdani? New York's going to be an epic failure. So all of these people are so incredibly flawed. But, Sam, you looked up some of the epic failures of Gavin Newsom in California. You know, we've only got like an hour, 40 minutes left in the show, so I don't know if we have enough time.
All I did was go to Grok and I said, list the failures of Gavin Newsom as governor. And it spit out the homeless crisis. They spent $24 to $37 billion, but the homeless population has grown by 180,000 statewide.
And that money, they don't know where it went.
Exactly. And then the high cost of living with a housing shortage. He campaigned on building 3.5 million homes by 2025. Got nowhere close to that. Population exodus and business climate. California has sustained net domestic outmigration. Hundreds of thousands leaving for other states annually in recent years. Crime and public safety, as you touched on. Budget and deficits in the fiscal management. A $100 billion surplus was claimed, but projections are actually more like in the $10 to $38 billion range.
And I will add, because we got to wrap this up, but I know that there's a lot more. The rail project as well. Don't forget that after the fires in California, they talked about trying to get all of those homes rebuilt, and the people have given up.
Didn't they buy some of them to turn into Section 8 housing?
Yeah. And you've got your Section 8 housing. You've got your apartment buildings, you know, the what do they call it? High density, is that what they call it? Yeah, apartment buildings and the like. You know, they don't want people who, you know, are worth $4, $5, $6, $10 million, you know, building their big McMansions again. They want to put a bunch of, you know, low-income housing in these places. And people are leaving. I mean, you just mentioned it. We talked about this yesterday, as a matter of fact. People are leaving California in droves. All right, it is 7:25 on Super Talk 99.7. Jay's got the news coming up at 7:30, Jay.
Yes, sir, Dan. A quick arrest of a Nashville murder suspect, and we'll also hear from Congressman Tim Burchett. That's coming up again at 7:30 this morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Jay, thank you very much. The Generator Super Center. Listen, we know from recent experience that the power can leave us in an instant. The power can, you know, basically we get a lot of winds, you got tornadoes, you get ice, the power can go down. And if it does, you need one of those backup home standby generators to turn your power back on. And oh, look, I've got the perfect place, the Generator Super Center. My friends at the Generator Super Center. Now, they are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. So a lot of people, I know this because people have been reaching out to me about the Generator Super Center. They've been speaking with their families about getting one of these backup home standby generators. Well, now you need to talk to the pros at the Generator Super Center. Now, you get your backup home standby generator from the Generator Super Center. This is a huge investment in your home. It is a huge investment in your family's safety. They do feature expert installation. They do feature 24-hour monitoring. They're not going to leave you in the dark, and financing is available. Now, here's the phone number. Call them, tell them Dan Chother to reach out at 615-879-1952, the Generator Supercenter, 615-879-1952. Find them online anytime, Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com, Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com.
For the terminally ill.
Coming up on 32 minutes past 7 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast and a traffic report are moments away. Well, months before Pam Bondi was removed as America's top prosecutor, the president criticizing her publicly for not going after his political opponents. She also faced quite a bit of pressure from Congress over the handling of the Epstein files. ABC's Olivia Rubin is in Washington.
Bondi is still scheduled to be deposed by a House committee looking into the Epstein investigation. And as for her replacement, the man currently in charge of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, believed to be a leading candidate.
Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett would support Zeldin as Attorney General. He said so Thursday on WTN's Matt Murphy show.
He's out of New York. He's an attorney. He's super smart, and he's a calibrated thinker. He's not just a on the surface kind of guy. He can think the long game, and I think he would be good at that.
Todd Blanche is serving as the interim Attorney General. Day 3 of NASA's Artemis II mission. After spending a day going around the Earth, the crew getting the okay yesterday actually, to fire their capsule's engine to officially begin their journey to the moon. ABC's Gio Benitez speaking 101 with the 4 astronauts, including mission pilot Victor Glover.
What do you want to tell Americans here at home who are watching this right now?
First and foremost, I would just like to say thank you. Your support and trust in us has enabled this, and so many people that have worked for so long to make this possible. But also, we're just getting started.
Knoxville authorities took a man into custody yesterday afternoon in connection with a deadly shooting Wednesday night at an Antioch apartment. Officers were called to the apartment complex. It was on Harper Ridge Place off Blue Hole Road. This was about 12:30 in the morning yesterday morning. According to Metro Police, an argument began in the parking lot, and then the suspect followed the victim, 28-year-old Terry Coleman, into an apartment where another fight happened. Yesterday afternoon, police announced that 23-year-old Jordan Jackson had been arrested at a home in East Knoxville. Jackson, who will be returned to Nashville soon, is charged with criminal homicide and evidence tampering following the Antioch shooting. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. 734 on Super Talk 99.7 Brentwood Jewelry. It is April. Lots of weddings are being planned right now. I can tell you the best place for engagement rings is Brentwood Jewelry, wedding rings as well. You've got to check out their vast selection of wedding rings. They've got wedding bands, semi-mount engagement rings, loose diamonds as well. They have rings for every budget and every style for both men and women. Now, Brentwood Jewelry is the official jewelry store of the Mandis House. I've bought Amy a couple of amazing pairs of earrings. She bought me my favorite watch. But you know what else they have? They've got some incredible pocket knives, the William Henry Knife Collection. I was on their website, BrentwoodJewelry.com. And if you are in the need of, or you want to gift someone a really cool pocket knife, the William Henry Pocket Knife Collection, this is a gift that is truly going to stand out. Handcrafted with aerospace-grade materials, rare hardwoods, and stunning inlays. Now, some say that these William Henry pocket knives, they are more than just a knife. It is a functional work of art. Check them out. Online, it's BrentwoodJewelry.com, and if you want to visit them in person, that's what I recommend. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. BrentwoodJewelry.com. Mark Spain Real Estate. Skip the spring cleaning and sell your home hassle-free with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Dan Mandis here. You know, the spring real estate market, it is now in full swing. Skip the hassles of listing your home on the market and sell your home on your terms with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. No showings, no open houses, just a strong all-cash offer and close in as little as 21 days. Now, one of their clients, Caitlin, said this: working with Mark Spain Real Estate was so easy, and they exceeded my expectations. It was a very competitive real estate market, and they helped us accomplish our goals. Says I would 100% work with Mark Spain Real Estate again. Now, they've been helping homeowners just like Caitlin sell their homes for nearly 30 years. They've served over 72,000 satisfied clients. Mark Spain Real Estate, don't worry about the inconvenience of selling your home. The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate makes the home selling process seamless and stress-free. Find out what the guaranteed offer would be on your home today. There's no obligation. Call them at 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. Online anytime at markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. There's markspain.com and start packing.
While we do have schools out for the Good Friday holiday, we still have a couple of traffic issues here. First of all, a crash reported 24 eastbound just before exit 19. This is in Robertson County. And Annex Avenue in the Charlotte Park part of town between American Road and Henry Ford Drive. It is closed. A water main break. Oh, fun, fun. That's the only other problem for you. Traffic every 10 minutes. It happens every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.739 WTN. By the way, we missed one. Talking about what Democrats could, be really good for 2028 for the left. Rahm Emanuel. I'm going to tell you, I think Rahm Emanuel could actually give Gavin Newsom a run for his money. I do. And then I'm going to move on. But I want you to think about this. So we talked about, and Sam did a great job of outlining some of the failures of the Newsom administration in California. So you compare that with, I don't know exactly what Rahm Emanuel has accomplished. But you know what? In politics, sometimes having a resume, like a long resume, like a Kamala Harris or like a Gavin Newsom, it actually is not a benefit because you've got a track record of either success or failure. And so, and here's the other thing. When you look at Gavin Newsom, one of the things that they'll always tell you is, oh, Gavin Newsom, he's really good in the numbers. His ratings are good. His ratings meaning his polling numbers are good. People like him, so on and so forth. But do you know why people like Gavin Newsom? People like Gavin Newsom because they don't know Gavin Newsom like Californians do. Now, do you know when Gavin Newsom's polling numbers skyrocketed? Do you know when they did? You don't need to look it up. I'll tell you. When he started going after Donald Trump big time, when he started mocking Donald Trump, do you remember that whole thing?
And the hand gestures.
And the hand
rhetoric.
gestures, the whole thing, the fake tweets, all that. So
thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yeah, and so the more that Gavin Newsom did that, the more that he distracted from his own failures. Once you get into the primary, and it's just like S.C. Cupp said, once you get into an actual primary where you start talking about the success or the lack thereof of Gavin Newsom, then it's going to look a lot different. And so then somebody like Rahm Emanuel, and I'm not a big Rahm Emanuel fan, but I'm just trying to tell you that he was the mayor of Chicago at one point. Rahm Emanuel, he was for Obama. Wasn't he the chief of staff for Obama, Rahm Emanuel?
He was also on Clinton's staff, too.
Okay, Clinton's staff, too. People are saying, Rahm Emanuel, Joan is saying, Rahm Emanuel is evil.
Our Joan?
I can't imagine our Joan is up right now. No, it can't be our Joan. This Joan is in North Carolina. But anyway, I bet you Joan would agree. I bet you our Joan would agree that Rahm Emanuel is evil.
Who's your favorite governor in the country right now? As far as you were talking,
My favorite governor in the country?
Yeah, should be an easy choice.
Should it be an easy choice?
It should be.
Okay, I'm gonna get hammered for this. I like Ron DeSantis, Florida governor. I do like our governor too.
Who wouldn't? And that's where I was trying to lead you into. Who wouldn't like Ron DeSantis? Ron DeSantis is the polar opposite of Gavin Newsom and what he's done for the state and for the people. Mm-hmm. And when you run, you're going to go, look what I did here to the American people. This is why you should put me in office. And look at their resumes, and they're just total opposites.
Yes, but I think if you look at J.D. Vance and if you look at Marco Rubio, Ron DeSantis is far and away down third in that order.
But that's our third on the batting order.
Yeah, that's the point, man. We got a great lineup, and I think that I wouldn't mind seeing DeSantis as maybe like an attorney general. Although the last time I said that, people were going to come to the radio station with pitchforks and torches because they didn't like whatever. I do. I like Ron DeSantis. I'm not going to shy away from my appreciation for what Ron DeSantis is and does. I think he's been a great supporter of Donald Trump. Anyway, moving right along. And no, I don't know if he wears lifts. Apparently he does. Ask Chris Hand about that. All right, real quickly. Where was I going with all this? I don't even know.
Rahm Emanuel.
Rahm Emanuel is evil, says Joan. All right. There was a CPAC event. This is audio only. There was a CPAC event this week. Erica Kirk and Caroline Levitt were up on stage. They got hit with this question. You ready? Listen.
According to the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative database, by the way, there have only been a few hundred cases of voter fraud since 1982 out of hundreds of millions of votes. Additionally, according to the Brennan Institute of Justice, there are 21.8 million Americans who do not have easy access to proofs of citizenship. So my question to you is it worth it to risk millions of Americans from voting in order to prevent a few hundred cases of voter fraud?
So you heard this guy, very excited. And in case you didn't hear that, he's saying the Heritage Foundation has shown only, all right, this is semantics, friends, only a few hundred instances of voter fraud in their database. Yet, he says, how is it possible that if there's only a few hundred instances of voter fraud in the Heritage Foundation database, how is it disenfranchising or causing credibility issues in the vote? Because Heritage Foundation is a conservative foundation. I'm going to tell you why coming up next. It is 7:45 on Super Talk 99.7. Time to check the roads. All right, very good. Thank you. As far as your weather goes, we do have highs today in the mid to upper 80s, some clouds, storms on Saturday, and a high of 80 Sunday. For your Easter Sunday, cooler, possible rain, and a high of 63. So you heard the guy ask, okay, so if there's only a couple hundred, as he says, a couple or a few hundred instances of proven voter fraud in the Heritage Foundation database, why do you, as Republicans, as conservatives, support the Save America Act, something they say that could disenfranchise millions of voters? Now, I'm going to let, this was Caroline Levitt and Erica Kirk. They were on stage at a CPAC event.
First of all, I have not seen the data you provided, so I'd like to go check it myself and make sure that it's actually accurate in the way that you're citing it. And there is certainly much more, I believe, voter fraud in this country, and I'm sure the statistics back it up, than what you cited with one survey. And why are you okay with any voter fraud in the United States of America?
There you go. By the way, for clarification, this may have been a Turning Point USA event. Probably it's a TP USA event. But anyway, so he said a few hundred. The database actually shows just proven cases as opposed to allegations, criminal convictions, and they call this just a sampling. The Heritage Foundation calls this just a sampling of fraud, not a comprehensive list of all the fraud that has taken place. So you heard Caroline Levitt say, well, you know, we got to look at what exactly it is that you're talking about, because she's not buying it. I'm not buying it either. But Heritage Foundation does say this is proof that the fraud does exist, but realize that local jurisdictions don't always investigate the fraud when there are accusations. All right, so there's that aspect of it too. I love the meme that's been bouncing around the internet. How is it that we have Medicaid fraud, Medicare fraud, immigration fraud, tax fraud, insurance fraud, banking fraud, but our elections are perfectly secure, right? I mean, does anybody buy that? I don't. But here's my point. In states where ID is not required, where proof of citizenship is not required, we're not catching the fraud because they've basically legalized the fraud by not requiring ID. That's my point. The reason why we're not catching the fraud is because, you know, you're California, you're Illinois, you're Oregon, your state of Washington, you know, all of these, you know, leftist-run states that have, in my opinion, all of this fraud, and states that Democrats always seem to win, they've legalized the fraud. I mean, in Minnesota, remember, in Minnesota, you can vouch for 8 other people in your neighborhood. You don't think that's riddled with fraud? Of course it is. Now, is it, I'm going to air quote this, is it convicted fraud or, you know, proven fraud? Or no, it's not convicted fraudsters or proven fraud, because they're not going to look into it. That's the whole point. So who needs to break laws when the laws are written in these states to just legalize the fraud, essentially allowing it to happen? Here's more from Caroline Levitt.
We are the greatest country on the face of the earth, and we should have the safest and most secure elections of any country on earth. And it is transparent. And transparent. And it is absolutely absurd that voter ID is not the land of the law in this country already. And 89%, 80 to 90%, based on which poll you look at, of Americans in this country support bringing a piece of identification to the polls when you cast a ballot in an American election.
I mean, obviously she's correct. It doesn't matter the survey. People support the Save America Act, 80, 90%. And all it does is it just wants you to prove that you're a citizen. That's it.
You want to know where they don't have voter ID requirements because their elections are so safe and secure? Japan. Voter registration is automatic and based on the basic resident register. Japanese citizens aged 18 and up who have lived in the municipality for at least 3 consecutive months are just automatically added to that electoral roll because they're all citizens. So they don't have to, you know, prove who is and isn't eligible to vote in Japan.
You know, one of the things is, as you listen to the left and they try to scream, you know, discrimination. They try to scream, oh, the Republicans are trying to suppress the vote. All of that, it is perfectly obvious that the people who don't believe in free and fair elections are the Democrats. And as I've said forever, it's all about, simply put, they want the room to cheat. Here's more.
And this idea that the Save America Act would disenfranchise anyone is frankly insulting, that Americans aren't smart enough to get the proper identification to go vote and show up to the ballot. So we should, I will end by saying we absolutely should pass the Save America Act. It's a common sense piece of legislation, and Democrats would be wise to get on board with this, because the only people in the world, except for maybe the gentleman who asked the question, seem to be politicians in this city who don't want voter ID and proof of citizenship in American elections. So I think everybody on Capitol Hill should pass that piece of legislation.
The other thing I was thinking about, you know, when you look at and you think about all of the polling that is out there, where 80, 85, 90% of the people out there believe that the Save America Act should pass, or at least they believe in the tenets of the Save America Act. And the left is like, oh, the women, the married women, oh, the whore. Do you know how many married women were asked the very question about the Save America Act? And they all said, we want free and fair elections. That's the whole point. So when you, I've got some great audio. Do I have time to do it?
No.
Oh.
Vetoed.
Fine. Coming up, I've got some great audio from Meryl Streep, the actress Meryl Streep. And listening to her as she is trying to explain why she is against the Save America Act is awkward and painful. And I'm going to talk about that straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, very quickly, we have some breaking jobs news.
Oh,
It
yes.
is good news. So apparently, and Jay's probably got this in his newscast, but the jobs numbers apparently were better than expected.
Way better than expected.
So talk about that, Sam.
Well, so apparently we've added 178,000 jobs in March, rebounding from a significant revision to February's data, which showed a loss of 133,000 jobs. And our unemployment rate has dropped a tenth of a percentage down to 4.3.
So now my very cynical question will be, okay, but when are they going to revise this number down?
So
you know what I mean?
Well, the expectation was that this job mark would be at 59 to 60,000 jobs. So we've really surpassed that.
Wait, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
The expectation was 50 to 60,000 and the reality was 178,000?
Yep. Definitely helps that about 31,000 nurses are going back to work following some strikes.
Yeah.
But
we've had some a couple of other positive economic news in the last couple of days. We had consumer confidence. That was up, and I forget what the other one was, but so this is like the third or fourth day of positive economic news. I know I don't get real excited over the positive economic news because there's, for every good story, there's negative stories as well. I get it, and stuff is still really expensive. But you cannot deny that creating a lot more jobs or creating the environment for job creation and for companies to continue to keep people employed, that is a very big deal for the Trump administration. All right, real quick, 7:54. Jay's got the news at 8 o'clock. Jay.
Yes, sir, Dan. Coming up at 8 o'clock, oil prices continue to rise. We'll have some comment on what that's doing to the economic front globally. And if boots on the ground in the Iranian war become necessary, whose boots should they be? A Tennessee congressman weighs in on that. Again, that's coming up at the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, I've got a great new name, Sam, when Jay fills in. I've got a great new name for Jay. Joy Kill Jay.
Uh-oh.
Here we are talking about some great news on the job creation.
I'm
and you come
including
in
that.
with you lead with the cost of gas and oil.
Well, hey, it's the realities, Dan. I mean, that's the news.
Still,
don't shoot the messenger.
Joy Kill Jay coming up at 8.
Still lower than the Biden administration gas prices. Just saying.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
I do have the job numbers story though. So
Jay, I'm just kidding. You know we love you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's what my first wife said.
Do you know what's so funny about working with Jay? You never know when it's going to take an awkward turn. It's kind of like working with myself. Anyway, 7:55 on WTN Window Nation. Spring is here. It is a great time to open your windows. Dear windows, maybe they don't easily open. Maybe they leak. Maybe they're broken. Maybe they need repainting again. The pros at Window Nation, they can help you get new, energy-efficient windows at a great price from Window Nation. Right now, they are in the middle of their The More You Buy, The More You Save sale. And again, that is going on right now. You could save up to 50% off all the windows in your home. And you could get them with 0% interest financing for 5 years. You want to check out my friends at Window Nation. You could replace all of the windows in your home and get 50% off. So if you're thinking about this major upgrade, you've got to call my friends at Window Nation. I've got 4 Window Nation windows in my home. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and a 96% customer satisfaction rating, over 45,000 5-star reviews. Find them online, windownation.com. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told to reach out. It's windownation.com.
It is 8 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have your Easter weekend forecast and the latest traffic report coming up. Prices at the pump in the U.S. remain on the rise as the price of oil jumps 11% yesterday. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more.
Oil prices are now at the highest level since the start of the war, surging 11% in just one day. Prices have surged in every state. They are the lowest in the Midwest and in Georgia. In California and in Washington state, gas is at almost $6. Moody's Analytics says that if oil prices stay at this level for 1 year, it will cost the typical household an extra $1,600.
In President Trump's speech this week on the war in Iran, he made it clear that unless the Iranians agree to a ceasefire deal, the country will see an escalation in U.S. aggression. Many are concerned that U.S. boots on the ground may ultimately be part of that aggression. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, he joined WTN's Matt Murphy show on Thursday and said that if boots on the ground become necessary in the Iranian war, our allies need to step up.
I think we need to encourage the folks in the Middle East to join up. If there's going to be any boots on the ground, they need to be their boots on the ground. America has already sacrificed enough money and people. They need to step up. And the people of Iran need to step up, but they don't have a Second Amendment. That's the problem.
Despite nagging uncertainty in the job market, fewer people are standing in the unemployment line last week. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
Weekly filings for state unemployment benefits have sunk closer to the 200,000 mark, falling by 9,000 in the week leading up to March 28th to 202,000 applications altogether. Economists were predicting a slight rise in the figure, which is considered an indicator of layoff activity.
Pope Leo restoring a Holy Thursday tradition celebrating what's known as the Mass of the Lord's Last Supper by washing the feet of 12 priests from the Diocese of Rome. Meanwhile, experts say having a pope from Chicago is one reason churches are seeing attendance rise. The Diocese of Newark, New Jersey, in particular, says it's seeing record high attendance. Here's ABC's Tony Yates.
For some reason, it seems that people's hearts are a whole lot more open.
Father Amon Mantia leads St. Genevieve Catholic Church and part of the Archdiocese of Newark. The Archdiocese says before this Easter week is done, it will have welcomed 1,701 new people into the fold.
In some places, we've got bishops who are honestly saying we don't know what to do with them all.
Father Amon says the surge is also happening in Europe and Australia.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. On this Good Friday morning, we do have some traffic issues. First of all, a crash reported 24 eastbound just before exit 19 in Robertson County. We also have some stop-and-go traffic 24 eastbound before Bell Road. There was a crash there earlier. They've moved it over to the shoulder, but still creating some traffic issues. And the water main break. It happened Annex Avenue between American Road and Henry Ford Drive. It is closed, that section of the road there. But, hey, let's go swimming. We've got traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.807 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and happy Good Friday. All right, so I want to play this Meryl Streep audio. I know that I kind of put the whole Save America Act thing behind me a little bit as I wrapped up the last hour, but I do want to play this Meryl Streep audio.
It's okay. If John Thune can do it, you can too.
That's exactly right. So this is Meryl Streep. And she's talking about, and I think she's on with Stephen Colbert. I think it was Stephen Colbert. But here she is talking about the importance of not passing the Save America Act. Listen, Meryl Streep.
The Save America Act, if that passes, all the married women that have changed their names are going to have to go to the registrar and prove that they are who they are. In other words, to your voting registrar. This is what I understand. Otherwise, when you get to the voting booth in November, you might be disqualified because your name on your birth certificate doesn't match your name on the voting rolls. So everybody has to get...
This is one of those shows, I think it was Colbert, where the audience is just, really trying to, make it like, oh, this is so horrible. And wait till the end when you hear because Meryl Streep is clearly struggling. She's struggling because she doesn't really know how to adequately explain why she's against the Save America Act. And she even said, as I understand it, which is almost like code for, I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about. I mean, that's how I took it. But Meryl Streep is also, and if you know anything about Meryl Streep and you've seen her in interviews, she's a very deliberative speaker. Like, she's a great actress. I mean, don't get me wrong. But she's very deliberative. And she's very, when she speaks, it's very drama-laden. You know what I'm talking about? So she continues on.
And this is such a pain in the neck because you have to go, but do it, because otherwise you'll be turned away. And I think that women need to be heard, especially in this time.
All right.
That might be her worst performance ever.
Women need to be heard is what she said.
I know. That's why they don't stop talking.
Anyway, Meryl Streep, actress. I like how, again, everybody goes nuts there at the end. I don't feel like I have to go through this again for the millionth time. Most states already have laws in place to deal with documents that are not consistent. They just do. Now, is it a hurdle? Is it a pain in the neck? Sure. But you know what else is a pain in the neck? Paying your water bill. paying the internet bill, getting something fixed. Do you know what I mean?
Property taxes.
Property taxes. It's like not everything is going to be a cakewalk. And again, the bottom line in all of this is, well, if you've got all of that polling that says that women are for the Save America Act, and a lot of these people surveyed were women, right? So, as I said in the previous hour, are you saying that all of those women are okay with suppressing the vote? No, they're not. They just understand that when you get married and you've got to change your name, then the state that you live in, more than likely, has a process for getting your documents consistent. It just, this whole thing is just so incredibly dumb. And this is what drives me nuts about the Democrats. And basically what Meryl Streep is, they have such a low opinion of people, don't they, the Democrats? They just, they have a low opinion of people, generally speaking. They feel like everybody else is dumb, and they feel like they are better than everybody else.
Don't you need an ID to fly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would look. You need an ID to get it. We could go through the whole list. I feel like.
Well, but that one's got a special. You know, if you want to talk about extra paperwork, right? Well,
Right.
we passed legislation requiring. Well, now you need the real ID if you're going to fly, or you pay a fine, or whatever for that.
Mm-hmm.
No one batted an eye to get that passed, really. But we want to implement similar structure into the voting in federal elections,
right?
And setting equal precedents across all states, and suddenly that's a terrible thing. Well, you don't care about people being disparaged, from getting on an airplane, right? If they're going to be marginalized or whatever. But when it comes to voting, it's totally a problem.
No, here, can I tell you what my problem is with the Save America Act? My problem with the Save America Act is I have spoken about this, and I've done this topic 1,000 times. So you almost feel like, how many times do I have to say the same darn thing?
Until you're red in the face?
See, here's the deal. Most people that are listening agree that the Save America Act needs to pass. So I feel like, okay, so why am I even talking about this, Now, we have some great news with the jobs numbers. I've got a little bit of video. I got some video that I want to play. If you're just joining us, monumental job creation. The original number was supposed to be, we're talking about this, about 50,000.
59 to 60,000.
59 to 60,000, and it turns out that it was 178,000 jobs created. This is what it sounded like.
This is one heck of a report, folks. Wow is right, Steve Moore. Non-farm jobs coming in 178,000 jobs. The expectation was 60,000, folks. The unemployment rate went down to 4.3%. The expectation was 4.4%. We didn't get a loss in manufacturing jobs. We got a hit of 15,000 manufacturing jobs. Private sector jobs, get this, folks, 186,000. 186,000. The estimate was for 70,000, and the average work week 34.2 hours. That was actually a little bit less than expected. And again, looking at the U6 underemployment rate, that was coming in at 8%. I'm going to go into the report, folks, as I do every month, and I'm going to give you a sense of where the jobs are. But as I'm doing that, I want to go over to Steve Moore. You had the same reaction I did. What a number!
I love seeing them get all the, because these are a bunch of eggheads, right? Really smart people. They don't get excited over much. But Steve Moore, who I've interviewed here on WTN many times, but he got excited over this.
Wow, what a great Easter weekend present this is. I mean, my God, this is way, way higher than even the range of forecasts. I can't quite figure it out. I have to look deeper into these numbers, but it is really good news for the economy. I think one of the things this tells us is that employers believe that the situation in the Middle East is temporary, and they're planning for the future, and they're hiring workers according to this report. And so it appears that employers and businesses believe that Trump is right, that we'll get the Straits of Hormuz open, that this is a temporary shock to the economy, and that we've got sort of smooth sailing ahead. And by the way, the fact that, again, we're seeing more private sector employment and a fall in the government employment is a very positive thing. It's been a trend we've seen so far. I love it.
So, and Steve Moore is right. by the way. That goes back to what I was saying before the news when this whole thing happened, which was consumer confidence is up. Steve Moore just talked about how if people are hiring, if businesses are hiring, then that does tell you that they do believe, and this is the same thing with the consumer confidence, then they do believe that this is going to be, as Steve Moore said, a temporary shock to the system, but then eventually everything is going to go back to relative normal, at least what we see here in America with the Trump administration. So it's a good news, and we've had some good news, again, economically here in this week, and so it's a good Friday for a number of different reasons. It is 8:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, let's see. I'm reading all the super text. Holy mackerel! We need to fact check one thing that I saw on the super text line. As far as your weather for today, highs in the mid to upper 80s with some clouds. Storms possible on Saturday, a high of 80. Sunday, cooler, rain, and a high of 63. Dude says that you need to. This can't be true. This is 3092. You need an ID to buy a lighter at 7-Eleven?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I don't believe that.
Well, certain people are going to be carded everywhere. Those who appear to be over a certain age may not. Take it up with the cashier, man, not me.
So I don't know exactly what you're saying.
So
but
do you remember a couple of years ago they legalized how you could buy tobacco and lottery tickets? It's no longer 18 in Tennessee; it's 21.
Yeah.
So with that became pretty much anything that requires an ID to purchase at 21, they go with the alcohol. You know, if you look over 35,
why do you need an
card
ID to buy? That's what I'm trying to figure. Why do you need an ID to buy a lighter?
Because the only products you're going to use with it, you need to be 21 or older to have. They consider that just
campfire. You could have a campfire at 17.
I'd say buy a box of matches then.
All right, whatever. I'm not going to argue.
I mean, no, they did it to
sense.
me. I had that experience trying to buy a lighter as a teenager, and they said, no, you're not 18. Then they changed the law from 18 to 21. So
right,
it's unless you look over a certain age, they're going to card you for a lighter. And it's sometimes a requirement of the point of sale system that they scan your ID before it'll let them finish checking you out with the lighter.
Okay. I don't know if you noticed, Sam, but about midway through whatever you just said, I completely lost interest.
Hey, you wanted it fact checked.
I know. Careful what you ask for, apparently, on Nashville's Morning.
And don't ask me for a lighter.
Do you know what's so funny? I don't drink. No, I do drink. I keep saying that. I don't drink a lot. But I don't smoke and anything. And these days, so I don't have a need for a lighter. So I guess you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I needed to buy a lighter for something, I don't know what it would be.
I mean,
yeah,
I have a Zippo for my cigars. That's about it.
Oh, you know what? Candles. We have a lot of candles in the house. That's why I need a lighter.
Matches.
We have a Zippo. Nobody cares. All right, 820 Super Talk 99.7 WTN 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. I was talking to Chris in the hallway. So he is all fired up about Todd Blanche and the termination of Pam Bondi. Fired up about it. And I guess Todd Blanche was on, was it Fox News last night? And he said something, and I'm paraphrasing because of what Chris told me. But apparently Todd Blanche said on Fox News last night that they're over the Epstein files and like they're not going to deal with the Epstein files much anymore. I think Todd Blanche is nuts. If he thinks this whole thing is going to go away, no, it is not going to go away. That's what Chris is going to say too, but he'll say it with a lot more passion and detail. This is, I'm just going to play just a little bit of audio from Todd Blanche because I have not heard this. This is what he said, acting U.S. Attorney General.
Pam Bondi too, but she didn't give Swalwell a heads up on the Fang files, did she?
I would not believe that for a second. Absolutely, positively not.
That was one of the accusations was that Pam Bondi had given Eric Swalwell a heads up about this Fang investigation that they're doing with the FBI and Kash Patel. So I don't know if she did or not, but there is a lot of accusations with Pam Bondi right now. My only problem with Pam Bondi is just that she didn't do her job. I mean, she just plain and simple, she didn't do her job. I do feel like she deserved to get fired. I think that there's a lot of people that say that she did not deserve to get fired. But listen, when you go in and you're talking smack on the Epstein files, and then you are in a position to a position of influence to release all of the Epstein files, and you play the games that you did, Pam Bondi, then I'm sorry, but you shanked it. You deserve to get fired. My big thing was when she said that Epstein committed suicide and all of the Epstein files had been released, and then lo and behold, there's like millions more that they release in the next couple of months. Well, okay, so how can we ever believe anything that you say? This is Todd Blanche, real quick.
Now, the Epstein files, you'd agree, not handled well?
No, and I don't, first of all, I have never heard President Trump say that the Attorney General that anything that happened to her had anything to do with the Epstein files. And so, look, the Epstein files has been a saga that's lasted for the past year. And what happened when the President signed the Transparency Act is the Department of Justice has now released all the files with respect to the Epstein saga. And the Attorney General Bondi and I appeared in front of Congress voluntarily a couple weeks ago to answer any questions they had. We have made every single congressman, senator available to come and see any document, redacted, unredacted, that they want. And so I think that to the extent that the Epstein files was a part of the past year of this Justice Department, it should not be a part of anything going forward.
Well, we'll have to see what happens with the Epstein file. Here's the deal, is that for some, the Epstein files will never be over. It's like there's always going to be something else that you're reaching for. There's always going to be some other person, some other name, some other plot that you're looking for. There's always going to be some other pedo that, you want to have thrown in jail or whatever. And I've been talking about the Epstein files for a long time. I want the names to have their day in court. I want them to have a jury among their peers. And if they did something untoward, if they did something wrong, they need to be thrown in jail. That is what needs to happen. But, I think when you're talking about the acting attorney general, right now you've got Todd Blanche. And Todd Blanche was the guy that went in and he interviewed Jeffrey Epstein's, Sam, help me. Old man disease, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend. What was her name?
Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell. Thank you. Yeah. He goes in.
We were watching the train roll down the tracks.
And I know you were enjoying it too, weren't you? Ghislaine Maxwell. So he's the one that goes in and he interviews Ghislaine Maxwell. And I know that I sound like a liberal, but he goes in and he interviews Ghislaine Maxwell. And then all of a sudden she gets a cushier prison sentence. And so there's a lot of people who are, really passionate about the Epstein files. You look at what he did with Ghislaine Maxwell, who is, obviously a very big part of that story. So now you look at him rather cynically and with a bit of side eye. I love Lee Zeldin. I think Lee Zeldin is a guy who is really smart. Currently, he's a guy in charge of the EPA. And I think that he is a stand-up guy. And I believe that if you want to make a clean slate with the Epstein files, number one, I don't know if anybody will ever be able to make a clean slate with the Epstein files, but I think that Lee Zeldin is pretty close because he doesn't have, as far as I know, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but as Lee Zeldin, he doesn't have the stink of being somebody who for years commented over and over about the Epstein files and then again in a position of influence and then to completely shank handling the Epstein files, which is exactly what Pam Bondi did. And we'll see what ultimately happens to Kash Patel. So here's the names of Trump administration cabinet members and people who are working in the Trump administration whose careers, whose jobs may be in peril. You were talking about Tulsi Gabbard. We already lost, of course, Kristi Noem. We lost Pam Bondi. Tulsi Gabbard apparently is on the bubble. We'll have to see what happens with Todd Blanche. And I don't know. We'll ask Chris if he's got any other names that he thinks might be close to getting fired within the Trump administration. He is a year and a half in. He's got his people. Some people are saying Pete Hegseth. I don't think Pete Hegseth is in trouble, but we'll have to ultimately wait and see. I know. 8:26. We've got Jay, who is in the newsroom. Jay, what's coming up at 8:30?
Yeah, Dan, we'll have more on these unemployment numbers that have surprised many folks, and also an encounter on a DeKalb County roadway last year involving an MTSU professor. There has been an issue that has been decided about that. We'll come up with the stories for you at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jay.
Wasn't even trying to do it.
No, you know what? You know what I do? I combine
I know,
Jay
Joan and Jay.
Joan,
Yeah,
and that's what
you
I do.
do that every time. It's all good.
Looking forward to the news, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you, Denny.
All right, moving right along. USS, United Structural Systems. And listen, this is a great company, a local company, and it's a company that I trust. Why do I trust USS, United Structural Systems? I trust USS because they are your local foundation and waterproofing experts. I paid good money with USS. They've done great work for me. That is how I know that they are going to do great work for you. Now, they live here in Middle Tennessee. They work here. They understand exactly how Tennessee soil, Tennessee weather, and Tennessee homes behave, including yours. Now, they've been trusted in Tennessee since 1994, serving homeowners across the volunteer state for over 30 years. More than 30,000 local homeowners have trusted United Structural Systems. That experience means they've seen every type of problem that our homes face. And they do know how to read the signs at USS. This is all part of being your trusted local foundation and waterproofing experts. Every crack or leak tells a story. USS knows what those signs mean: foundation settlement, basement water intrusion, crawl space moisture issues, and a whole lot more. Call them. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. They are problem solvers. They are experienced. They are local, and they are here for you. Find them online, USSTN.com.
32 minutes past 8 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A forecast and a traffic report are standing by. After heavy losses in February, the U.S. economy showed a return to unemployment gains in March. ABC's Jim Ryan says the healthcare industry continues to power job creation.
Total non-farm employment increased by 178,000 positions last month, nearly 3 times the number that analysts were expecting. And as in previous months, healthcare and construction were reliable segments of the economy. The unemployment rate for March ticked down to 4.3%.
A deadly encounter on a DeKalb County roadway last December has been ruled self-defense, according to prosecutors. District Attorney General Brian Dunaway announced no charges will be filed in the shooting death of 41-year-old Ashley McKenzie, a sociology professor at MTSU. Investigators said the final piece of the investigation came with the medical examiner's report. According to investigators, the autopsy showed McKenzie had toxic levels of methamphetamine in her system at the time of her death. Authorities said just before sunrise on a date in December, McKenzie stepped onto Smithville Highway and approached a driver who was headed to work. The driver reported that McKenzie walked in front of this person's truck, raised a handgun, and pointed it at them. Prosecutors determined that the shooting of McKenzie was justified, and they've now closed the case. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. 8:34, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here, lifelong dog owner. I have seen all kinds of behaviors with my animals, a lot of them bad. I bet you have too. Now, if you've got a dog that needs some serious training, my friends at Ridgeside Canine Nashville, they can help you. Now, you know that I call these folks the dog whisperers. They've helped thousands of dogs and their owners over the last 25 years solve behavioral issues, and they can help you as well. Aggression, potty problems, anxiety, basic obedience. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, they can help your dog with all of these and so much more. I've spoken to some of their previous clients. They've got amazing stories to tell about how they had a dog and they thought that, this animal was beyond training, beyond salvation. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, Jeff comes in and they work with the dog for a week to several weeks, and the dog comes back completely a new dog. Listening, not going to the bathroom on the carpet, not barking every time somebody walks in front of the house. And so this is something that if you've got a dog that needs some training, they can help you. It's much better than the alternative. Again, I've spoken to some of their clients who are like, we were that close to getting rid of the dog. But they came in, they trained the dog, and literally saved the dog's life. Ridgeside Canine Nashville. They've got a lifetime support guarantee. They are there for you 24/7. Find them online. It is Ridgeside Canine Nashville, rsk9nash.com. The letter K, the number 9, rsk9nash.com. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, veteran-owned, proven results, and guaranteed for life. Dan Mandis here. Listen, I want to give you a date. I need you to put it on your calendar, and I need you to be at a certain place at a certain time, because me and Chris are going to be there.
It's going to be hype.
Saturday, not Chris.
What?
It's not going to be hype.
It's going to be more than hype.
It's going to be big hype.
Big hype. You're right.
It's like bazooka hype. The Glock store.
There's going to be air raid sirens going off. It's going to be so hype.
That's going to be the amount of hype that's going to be at the Glock store on Saturday, May 30th. At their annual open house. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there. Chris is going to be there. And Murphy Show is going to be there as well. Now, if you've been to one of these open houses before, you know that they've got all kinds of great guest speakers. They've got giveaways. I mean, they've got great deals, specials. If you want to buy a new gun, if you want to bling out your gun, if you need some ammunition, all of this and a whole lot more He's going to be at the Glock Store's open house. This is a really big deal. Saturday, May 30th. They've got all these vendors as well. So check him out online. It is glockstore.com, shoot270.com, and come on out to the open house Saturday, May 30th. Come out, meet Chris, meet Matt, meet Matthew Hurt. Dude, I think I am so tired. Meet the afternoon guy, Matt Murphy.
There will be Matthews there, confirmed.
There will be, and also I'll be there as well. Hopefully I'll bring my brain, which apparently has just completely leaked out of both of my ears here for the last 30 minutes or so. I called Joe, I think, or something, and now I just called Matt Murphy Matthew, as in Matthew Hurt. This is what's going on with me, man.
I actually think we should start referring to him as Matthew in the afternoons.
Yeah, Matthew in the afternoons.
I feel like that flows.
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. He's like an all-new guy with the no facial hair.
Okay, so it's when there's the beard, it's just Matt Murphy.
Yeah.
But without the beard, it's Matthew.
It's exactly what we should do. All right. Anyway, go to the Glock Store, glockstore.com, shoot270.com.
We still have Annex Avenue between American Road and Henry Ford Drive closed off because of a water main break. A new crash also reported now. Dr. D.B. Todd Jr. Boulevard at Hyman Street. That crash has been there for about an hour or so. They should be wrapping it up soon. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I don't know why we're so late, but it's not my fault.
The guy who just said his brain has been leaking out of his ears on the show says it's not my fault.
Do you know what happens? And Sam can attest to this. Like, the further along the morning goes, because I don't get a lot of sleep, the more just my eyes start glazing over. And especially by the time Friday, I have not gotten a lot of sleep. And I think that's what happens. Because when I was in mornings, I didn't screw up people's names. I called Pamela Pamela. I called Belle
Bellel.
Well, I called Belle, but I also called him a few other things. Totally kidding. Totally kidding. Whatever. Totally kidding.
Bell. If he was awake and listening right now, he'd be very upset.
Anyway,
Bobby, if those kids could read.
So my sleeping situation is part of what's causing my issues, but I don't want to dwell on that. What do you want to talk about?
I almost got fooled by an April Fool's joke.
Go ahead.
So one of our listeners, this guy who goes by Magic Studios on X, he had sent me a news story on April Fool's Day, but I didn't open it until yesterday, which would be the 2nd. So I look at this story, and the headline is, breaking, a California chocolate company has issued a nationwide recall after its chocolate products was spiked with dangerous levels of Viagra.
So the story was there's Viagra in chocolate.
There's the Viagra in the chocolate. So I do what I always do when I get a headline from a listener. I go and I fact check it.
Sure.
So I'm like, that's wild. And I like giggled because I was like, this would be a great story for this segment. And I Googled it. And I find a local news station in Springfield, Missouri, KY3 on your side. And they're running it as a real story on the 2nd.
They're not the only one.
They're not the only one. So so I fact checked it. So then I responded to the listener. I was like, oh my gosh, that's wild. I'm bringing this in. And he's like, no. It's an April Fool's joke. I don't want you to look dumb on the air. And I was like, to be fair, I fact checked this and they were reporting it on the 2nd.
The
Seattle Times has it.
WKRN has it. WKRN, that's local. WKRN News too.
Are they also a Gray News affiliate?
I don't know.
It looked like Gray News picked this up.
Well, I know Jackson, during the Nincompoop segment the other day, Jackson, that Matt does, Jackson had that as a story. He used that the other day.
Yeah, 2 days ago, WKRN on their Facebook, because Amy sent this to me last night. A Northern California company that sells adult novelty products is voluntarily recalling 2 chocolate products.
It's real.
It's real?
It's a real story.
Because
actually,
the listener told me that it was fake. He was like, no, don't go on the air with that. It's an April Fool's joke.
FDA.gov.
Yeah.
It's on the FDA's website.
You are fake news. Chris Hand, you are fake news.
It has to do with Gold Lion aphrodisiac chocolate for men.
No. Bobby Kennedy must be pulling your leg.
And Ilium's sex chocolate male enhancement booster.
It says potentially life-threatening amounts of Viagra.
So,
yeah.
Oh, I guess it was a real press release then.
How can you...
If it's a life-threatening amount of Viagra, isn't it hilarious that, the aim was to get stiff and now you are a stiff?
I mean, at least make it hard.
Isn't that hilarious? Am I the only one that thinks that's funny?
No. I mean, talk about some rigor.
So it's real.
Yep, I'm looking at the FDA website right now.
I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio in Inception right now. I don't know what's going on.
So I don't know if I want to go down this road.
It's a real company, and so the theme has, in the last few years, become that you don't take the tablet anymore. You and your partner break off a piece of a naughty chocolate.
A piece of.
Okay, but here's my question. So how do you... Wait, what did he say?
Nothing.
No.
Moving right along.
What did Jay say?
No. Sam said you break off a piece, and I'm like, a piece? Oh, never mind.
So
he was going to say of each other.
Thanks, Joe.
I want to know, if it's life-threatening, what are the symptoms? If you've taken too much Viagra and you're about to die.
I learned this from an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. One of them is that you maintain a certain stiffness for
hours.
4 hours.
That's when you have to call a doctor.
Yeah. I knew a guy who had to have it drained.
That's what they.
Oh no!
That's what they do.
I was his boss.
Oh no!
They tap it like a syrup tree.
I was this guy's boss.
That is no.
And he came to me.
No, he didn't.
And he said, I have to take a couple of days off. And I said, okay, why? I've got to call in sick. Okay, you seem fine.
Did he call this in or did he come into the office?
He came into my office.
Oh.
Wait. Pre-drain?
Pre-drain. Yeah. He said what he had to do. He had to go and he had to get this.
So he's walking around the office like that?
I didn't look down, but apparently yes. And that was awkward. It's like, don't look down.
Yeah, don't look down.
You know what I mean?
Pitching a tent, as the kids say?
I guess. I don't know. But so he had to get it drained. And he was, terrified, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So this release, by the way, came out March 19th.
So how many people have eaten
this is 100% real.
Yeah.
All right. So what else though? You have to have some drainage, but what else happens? What are the symptoms that you're about to die because you've had too much Viagra?
I just typed in symptoms of and it filled out the Viagra overdose on Google.
Okay, so what happens?
Oh my gosh, so a lot of people are dealing with this. That's what that means.
Key symptoms. Cardiovascular, severe drop in blood pressure.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a blood pressure issue.
Rapid heart rate. Well, because the original design.
The blood pressure's going elsewhere.
Well, the original design of that medication was for blood pressure, and blood pressure pills are $5 a pill. Other kinds of pills are $150 a pill. Vision and hearing, blurred vision, increased light sensitivity, sudden vision loss. neurologic and systemic, intense headaches, dizziness, fainting, severe nausea, and vomiting. If you have any sudden loss of vision or hearing, an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, severe chest pain, or breathing difficulties, you should call 911.
I really had a long conversation with this listener last night, and I was like, I thought I almost got, but apparently he was the one that got.
Got? Yeah, that's good, actually. Got.
I don't like getting got.
I wonder if the chocolate's good, though.
Okay. That's where you go. That's where you go.
Is it of
I don't
of
eat it for that. I eat it for the taste. I swear.
It's better than Reese's.
Yeah, and I just read the articles. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got other side effects, and it makes me feel a little, whatever. All right, we should probably move on.
Yeah.
Don't try it. We'll hear more about how you're not getting any sleep.
The blood leaves one head and go, well, never mind.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep, we'll stop right there.
The guy did do afternoon news yesterday. He's a little...
I know, man. Dan and I are on the same, no sleep wave thing.
I stayed up and I watched our Nashville Peds win in a shootout against L.A., so I've been up since 9 last night.
That's right. They play him out west.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do we have time to do? I want to do Gavin Newsom's wife real quick.
That's how you frame it. That's how you frame it. After the aphrodisiac chocolate, that's how you're going to frame it.
Where's that chocolate?
By the way, that chocolate is from California.
Yeah.
Jennifer Newsom, come here. I've had chocolate. No, I'm just kidding.
You and the Rams and the Dodgers.
Okay, good Lord, man.
All right.
Okay. I have a topic I would like to do in discussing Jennifer Siebel Newsom. Sakes me. Okay, sir. First of all, talk show host vernacular. Talk show host vernacular, Chris. You know as well as I do. When you say you want to do something, you want to do that topic, and that's what I meant. Whatever. Moving right along. So. Have you heard this audio and seen this video? I've got video.
I don't know. I'm experiencing sudden vision and hearing loss.
She's talking about raising her kids, and basically, I'm not going to be able to do this. We're not going to be able to do this because I can't do something serious because of what has just happened on the radio.
3157 texted and said, "That's not a tent; it's a pole barn."
Stoltzko comes to mind. Oh my goodness gracious!
Do you need to eat one of these chocolates before we put another Daily Dan poll up?
We're done here.
Oh gosh, yes, we've all become 12.
All right, you know what? Will you promise me, Chris, that you will, because I did this topic in the 5 o'clock hour. It is Jennifer Siebel Newsom, the wife of Gavin Newsom. Listen to this woman. They are like made for each other. And she's trying to raise the toxic masculinity out of her kids.
Oh, perfect.
And it is like...
You know what I love? I'm going to be injecting toxic masculinity into them. And you know who's going to win? My boys.
You know what?
Like, this is one of the things everybody will say, it's such a hard time to raise kids. Oh, and it's like, no, actually, if you raise them with good conservative Christian values, they're going to be running circles around the kids who have been told that urinating in a litter box is appropriate.
You know, their sons, Hunter, 13, and Dutch, 8. I fear what they're going to become because of the way that she is raising them with this whole toxic masculinity, any kind of masculinity. I'll just, I'm just
we'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Listen.
I've given our boys dolls, even if they tear the head off. I've given them dolls to learn that care and caregiving is not just an activity that's reserved for women, but that it's also an activity that is a responsibility of men.
Wait. So she's giving them dolls.
Yes.
And then she's admitting that they're going full Sid from Toy Story and ripping the heads off of these toys.
Well, they can afford it.
What are they raising? Are they raising little psychopaths?
Well, yeah. If you listen to the rest of it, they are. Listen to what she says about books.
What I've done with both my daughters and my sons is if I'm reading a book and the protagonist is a male, I just change the he to a she. And it just normalizes for my sons in particular. I don't even just do it for my girls. I do it for my sons because I want them to see that women can be the center of a story.
Stunning and brave.
That women matter. That women are interesting.
I really don't want to do Jennifer Siebel Newsom after that.
Women are interesting, damn it. Why won't you listen to me?
This chocolate was working until you opened your mouth.
And here's the thing, though. Like, why would you purposely buy a book with a female protagonist or with a male protagonist just to turn it into a female protagonist? Why wouldn't you just buy one of the millions of books that have a female protagonist?
Oh yeah, don't we support women writers? let's
right.
We don't have to rewrite the old books that are good.
That's the thing. It doesn't make any sense. And so
then your kids get bullied when they're like, "Yeah, Leif Erikson was a woman." Like, no, not true.
Right. It sounds like she is trying to, I mean, you just said it. They're going to raise little gender confused psychopaths. And she's raising them to, that's the right way to put this. She's raising them to be ashamed of who they are as males, as men, as males. Here's more.
At the end of the day, we're all kind of like in this place in history maybe where we're recognizing what it is to ultimately deconstruct all these gender roles and ultimately be human, and that's exciting to me. So I'll just continue to kind of do my work and try and deconstruct all of these like limiting narratives about ultimately what it means to be human.
Deconstruct what it means to be human.
Good.
You know what?
This is good.
I think Victor Glover defined that pretty well when he was asked about going, back out into space and around the moon. It's not black history or woman history, it's human history.
Do you know what I wish? I wish that I could live my life trying to deconstruct what it means to be human. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine if that was your job?
Your day-to-day.
My day-to-day, just deconstructing what it means to be human. I wonder how much that pays. Pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have
According to
lunch
the
with the
Newsoms.
mayor of San Francisco and deconstruct some more of humanity.
Yeah. So I think that, and we did a much better job at this in the 5 o'clock hour when we had some time. But this woman is insane. Can you imagine if she is the first lady, the kind of things that she's going to like embrace?
Oh, do you think that she's like, we have to let them know women are interesting. So she's telling all this to Gavin and he's just not paying attention. He goes, yeah, interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yesing her, just giving her the whole, husband not paying attention. Yes.
To talk to.
Yep. Fascinating.
Yeah. If she becomes first lady, then her first lady initiative will be just say no to toxic masculinity.
2596 and said Gavin Newsom's wife is the reason why the Rutherford County librarian got fired.
Well, I in my notes I call this, one of the first things I wrote was what a bunch of socio-psycho BS.
Yep.
She sounds like she spent way too much time in college courses and just not enough time like in the real world. And so yeah, her kids are. Somebody said her kids are going to grow up to be like school shooters. No, I'm not going to.
That's a stretch.
I'm not going to say that.
No,
but I think her kids are going to grow up to have a warped sense of masculinity, and that's a problem. All right, 8:56.
Mario texted and goes, she's just deconstructing human intelligence.
Jay, what is coming up in the news?
Okay there, Dan. We'll have some words from Tim Burchett. He was with Matt on Matt's show yesterday afternoon, had quite a few interesting things to say. And also the EPA, they're now considering something else to become an official water contaminant, drinking water contaminant. We'll have that story as well. That's all coming up at the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.